चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टम् स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलौकिक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिद्वंतोतितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वद सर्वसेवाय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगिन मद गुरुन् मद महाधन मद निस्तारक मद भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु तादा इन अति नीचता करा हा ना मुंचा कदाचिन मां प्रेम न हृत्कंठयो स्फुरः। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनं हृदयन्तस्थो अभद्राणि विधुनोति सुरसता नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you all for joining. So we are going to start with chapter number 14 of the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chapter title, Pregnancy of Deity in the Evening. Okay, so we'll start off with a question. Wake us all up on a Sunday morning. We were reading all about Brahma's creation, right? And that was a whole theme. I've been reading for last few chapters of Brahma, how he actually received the knowledge and how he's doing the entire aspect of creation. And from where did this entire aspect of pregnancy of deity come? And what does that have to do with Srimad Bhagavatam?
So, Prabhu, in the last chapter where we were describing how the Varahadev comes in from the nose and he puts up the earth from the Garbhodaka ocean back to his orbit. And then it is a question of Vidura that I have heard about the Nila Varaha also. Can you please explain me that part? Because that whole killing of Hiranyaksha that is not mentioned in the first kalpa. So what happened at that context?
Yes, yes, thank you. So if you see, yeah, so you know how from the creation of from Brahmaji, then finally we had Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa were created, right? So these two personalities appeared, and then you know how we read about Swayambhuva Manu's attitude towards Brahmaji, that he was like so submissive, and he said like, "Here, I am here. Please give me instruction." And then he actually gave the instruction that you actually create progeny and you protect your entire, your progeny. And just by that seva of protection, you will actually please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And finally, everything is actually to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Swayambhu Manu agreed and he said, yes, I'm willing to do your seva, but there is a problem that the earth is now submerged into the Garbhodak ocean. So you please do something and pick up the earth from the Garbhodak ocean. This is actually beyond me, you do something. And then Brahma was meditating and saying like, okay, what should I do? And then what happened? Imagine from the nostril of Brahmaji, a personality appeared. And that was none other than Varahadev. So he appeared initially as the size of a thumb, and then he grew to huge size. And then all the Brahmaji and the other demigods, initially they're thinking that who is this personality? Right? Who is this who just appeared from the nostril of Brahmaji? And and how did they know that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Just when Varaha he roared, and just by the roar, they actually felt like, okay, yes, now Vishnu has appeared. All our problems are solved. Right? I mean, our entire problem that the earth is submerged in the Garbhotak ocean, that will be taken care of. We don't need to worry. So so when Maitreya Rishi was describing about Varahadev, he talked about this Shweta Varaha who appeared at the starting of the day of Brahma, but at the same time, he actually added the description of another Varaha who appeared later during the day of Brahma, which is actually Neela Varaha, right? Which actually appeared in the sixth Manvantara, Chakshusha Manvantara. And yeah, he described that, and in the second appearance of Varahadev, is when he actually fought with Hiranyaksha, right? He fought with Hiranyaksha, and then he placed the earth back into its orbit. And then we read that then how the demigods, not demigods, sorry, the sages in the higher planetary system, how they offered prayers to Varahadev. Right, so that was a section in the previous chapter, and we read the different kinds of prayers, and mainly in terms of how different parts of the body of Varahadev is actually the source of different aspects of yajna, right? And hence the body of Varahadev was said to be the source of the yajna. Right? So they prayed to Varahadev, and that was basically the main theme of the chapter. And then after that, he actually we concluded with Maitreya Rishi actually saying that this is so nice that anyone who hears this pastime or who actually lets other hears this pastime, then the Lord is becomes very pleased with that person. Right? And then once the Lord is pleased, then what else needs to be obtained for anyone? That is the highest benediction that one can get, is that the Lord becomes pleased with us. So just hear this pastime and you will actually be pleasing the Lord, right? So, so that happened up to that point. So we have Shvetavaraha, Neelavaraha, they have placed the earth back. So now at this point, one should actually think that, okay, Shambhava Manu, now the earth is back, then he should actually start creating progeny, get his children, and we'll read about the descendants. But we know Vidura, right? He does not like to stop at any short details. He said like, okay, you talked about Neelavaraha. So Vidura's question is not about Shvetavaraha. His question is about Neelavara. You talked about Neelavara and how he actually killed that original demon known as Hiranyaksha. Right? I want to know more about this. Right? So in relation to that, then Maitreya Rishi will actually start talking about how Hiranyaksha even appeared. So we'll read about the appearance of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And that actually happens from who's the mother of these two personalities is Diti. So we'll read about Diti, how Diti actually, because of a desire to actually have union at the wrong time, you know, how these two personalities, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, were actually born. And from that, from that, we'll actually hear about, uh, first of all, who are these Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So chapter after this, we'll talk about Brahmaji talking about the four Kumaras and how the four Kumaras, they actually go to Vaikuntha. And what do they see in Vaikuntha? So next chapter is description of the kingdom of God. So Brahma will describe how Vaikuntha looks and how the four Kumaras saw. And then after that, then how the four Kumaras, they cross the six gates, they come to the seventh gate, and then they're stopped by Jay and Vijay. And then that entire pastime, that how for the four Kumaras, they actually curse Jay and Vijay to actually take these forms. And it is finally Jay and Vijay who actually come down and become these demons. And then after that, so now we're going to read 14. So 14, 15, 16, 17. And then after that, the question in chapter number 18, we'll see the fight between Varaha and Hiranyaksha. So imagine, like, we started with chapter 13. The question was, tell me about the fight between Varaha and Hiranyaksha. I want to need more. And just to give the background, we'll have 4 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. And again, in chapter number 18, we'll see the fight between Varaha and Hiranyaksha. Right? So we see how Bhagavatam is one way so beautiful that it's like one way not leaving details. You want to know this? Okay, let me start from the scratch, from the background, give you all the details leading up to the fight. So we read about the fight in 13th chapter, and we'll again read about the fight in the 18th and 19th chapter. And finally, in 19th chapter, we'll read the killing of Hiranyaksha. Right? So that's the flow of the next few chapters. And particularly this pastime about the description of the spiritual world, so interesting and something to always meditate upon. And then uh, the entire pastime of like the four Kumaras and Jay and Vijay, that is so interesting. And we really see the mood of Vishnu, in this, how he's actually relating with one side as Brahmanas and the other side as his own devotees, and how he's actually relating. Very, very interesting. And then we'll see the curse, and then again Hiranyaksha, the fight, and the killing. Now, and then after that, the flow will be, okay, now let's go back to Swayambhu Manu. Who were his children? Right? 2 boys, 3 girls. Let's start off by reading about one of the daughters, and that is basically Devahuti. And then after the rest of the chapter, we'll talk of Kardamuni, Devahuti, and their son, Kapiladev. So that's the rest of the third canto. Okay, so that's the whole flow. So today we'll start with chapter number 14, Pregnancy of Deity in the Evening. So let's start with text number 1. Everyone okay up to this point? The whole flow of the third canto? Okay, let's start. Next one.
Shuka Uvacha Nishamya Kosharana Nishamya Koshara Vinopavarnitam Hare Katham Karana Sukaratmanaha Unasapaprachatam Udyatanjalir Nachati Tripto Viduro Dritavrataha.
Translation. Shukdev Goswami said, after hearing from the great sage Maitreya about the Lord's incarnation as Varaha, Vidura, who had taken a vow, begged him with folded hands to please narrate further transcendental activities of the Lord, since he, Vidura, did not yet feel satisfied.
So Shukdev Goswami is saying, Nishamya Kausha Ravina, right? So after hearing from Maitreya, Nishamya, after hearing from Maitreya, what did he hear about? He actually heard about Upavarnitam. He described Harer, about Hari, Lord Hari. So he described about narrations of Lord Hari after hearing this. Then Karana Shukara Atmana. Karana means the cause why the Lord actually accepted the form of Shukara. Accepted the form of Varaha. So after hearing why the Lord accepted this board incarnation, Punaha, again, Vidura Prapacha Tvam. Prapacha means, we have heard this word before. Prapacha means to ask. So Vidura asked again. And how did he ask? Udyatya Anjalihi. Anjali we have heard before. Right? What is Anjali? With folded hands he actually asked. Right? And then Nacha Ati Traptaha. Because why did he ask? Because he was not satisfied. He was not satisfied with the description. And hence Vidura, he actually asked further. And particularly this word, Udyata Anjali, with folded hands, is almost like, you hear something and you want to hear so much and you're so eager to hear. It's almost in the mood that, please tell me, you're folding your hands and saying, please tell me more about this. That is the eagerness of Vidura. It's like, okay, please tell me more, tell me more. I'm not satisfied. Nacha ati triptaha. Triptaha means satisfied. I'm not satisfied. Please tell me more, please tell me more. And particularly Vidura, it says Drita Vritaha, who has taken a vow. What is Vidura's vow?
To hear Harikatha.
Okay, to hear Harikatha. Okay. Anything else? More specific? So when did Vidura actually approach Maitreya Rishi? First, he wanted to hear everything from Uddhav, right? And when Uddhav was describing, he actually said that Krishna spoke about you before leaving. And Vidura wanted to know everything that Krishna actually spoke to Uddhav. So his vow was, I want to hear everything. I don't want to miss even one detail. I want to hear. That was his vow. I want to hear everything that Krishna actually told Uddhav from the mouth of Maitreya Rishi. Right? So that was his vow, to hear everything. And then one way also we can say his vow was he wants to extract all the nectar of Krishna Katha. He's a devotee. The mood of a devotee, he wants to hear with so much eagerness that he wants to extract everything. His vow is to just hear, dive himself in hearing Harikatha. Okay, text 2.
So did Krishna speak all these pastimes at the time of departure, Pravash? I mean,
if you see the flow, basically, what was the point that, Vidura actually told Uddhav? He said, like, please narrate what Krishna actually spoke. And then what did Uddhav say? Actually, I cannot be your guru. That would be Maryada Vyatikrama. You actually approached Maitreya because he was standing there and he will narrate everything. So one way, if you see the flow, it seems that Krishna spoke about all these incarnations and all these descriptions, and Maitreya Rishi is actually narrating everything to Vidura. Because Vidura, what was his question? He said, like, I want to hear everything, but first start with Purusha avatars, right? And then he starts describing all this. So you're saying something? So one way, the exact details of what was that conversation, we are hearing it through the mouth of Maitreya Rishi. Right? Otherwise, this Bhagavatam does not explicitly talk about those. A different conversation is Uddhav Gita, but that was other place. That wasn't at this place. Right? Okay, text number 2.
Vidura Uvacha Tenaiva tu munisheshta harina yagyamurtina adidaityo hiranyaksho hata ityanu shushruma.
Sri Vidura said, O chief amongst the great sages, I have heard by disciplic succession that Hiranyaksha, the original demon, was slain by the same form of sacrifices, the personality of Godhead, Lord bore.
So here he's saying, Vidura is saying, so what was the previous verse? He's saying like he had folded hands and he's actually punaha, again prapricha, asking Maitreya Rishi. That I'm not satisfied, I want to hear more. And what did he say? Oh, Muni Shrestha. Like whenever a speaker or listener of Bhagavatam addresses the speaker, then he always, with great respect, he says, Oh, chief of all the sages, Muni Shrestha, iti anushruma. Right? I have heard in disciplic succession. Tena, and Yagya Murtina. We heard this verse previously also. Yagya Murtina is actually referred to the form of Varahadev. He is actually the personified form of the Yagya. Right? So Yagya Murtina, this form of sacrifices, he actually Adi Daityaha. He actually killed the original demon. So normally we hear Adi like referring to, when you hear Adi, original referring to Vishnu, right? The original personality. Here we are hearing Adi Daitya, the original demon Hiranyaksha. Hataha, he was clean. He was slain. This I have heard in succession. So I want to hear more. That's the whole point here. Right? Right. Right. So why Vidura is actually stressing on the word Anushushuma? that I've heard in disciplic succession, right? That he's actually saying that you have mentioned about this, briefly mentioned about how Varaha killed Hiranyaksha. But I've heard this. This is important knowledge. This is something that has been spoken in disciplic succession. I want to hear more about it. Right? And as soon as when someone says that, oh, this is spoken in disciplic succession, it's almost like a stamp of approval that this is important, this is authorized, I need to know. The importance of our disciplic succession. Okay, text 3. And then Prabhupada and Purport talks about this, that the two Varahas, right? So we know this, right? So who are the two Varahas? Shvetavara, Neelavara. Shvetavara appeared in which Manvantara? First one, right? Yeah.
Swayambhu.
Swayambhu Manvantara. And then the second one, Neelvara, who actually appeared in which one Manvantara? Chakshusha Manvantara. So Prabhupada talks about these two, and he says like, okay, one is white color, one is red color. Right? Okay. Now text 3.
Tasya chodarata kshonim swadamshtragrena lilaya daitya rajasya cha brahman kasmad hetur abhun mridaha.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. What was the reason, O Brahmana, for the fight between the demon king and Lord Bor while the Lord was lifting the earth as his pastime?
So he said Brahmana, O Brahmana, like previous verse he said, O Muni Shrestha, O chief among all the Munis, sages, O Brahmana, Udarataha, while lifting the earth, right, while he was lifting the earth, and where did he lift the earth? Swadamstra Agrena, right, on the tusk, on his tusk he actually lifted the earth. And how did he do it? Just like a lila, like a pastime, he lifted the earth. And then Kasmat Hetu, for what reason? Abhutam Ridaha. Abhutamrita means why was there a fight between this Lord, right? The Lord who is Yajna Purusha and Daitya Rajasya, the king of the demons. Why was there a fight? I want to know the details of why this fight actually took place. Okay. Text 4.
I think Mataji has a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, it says the color red, not Neela. Is it in a different kalpa?
Yeah, we read, I think Gopinath Acharya Prabhu also shared the link that how sometimes it's red. And also if you remember, I shared an image of Varahadev that sometimes is red. But in this Bhagavatam narration, it is described as Neela, bluish. Right? So yeah, it may be a different kalpas, it is red. So Prabhu also posted a link of a lecture. I didn't get to hear, but in that lecture, there's actually the description of red Varaha. Right? Okay. So text 3 we covered. Text 4.
Shraddhanaya bhaktaya bruhi taj janma vishtaram rishena tripyati mana param kotuhalam hime.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My mind has become very inquisitive, and therefore I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please, therefore, speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful. Hare Krishna.
So here he's saying Rishi. So we see how he's like using different terms to address Maitreya Rishi. And here, Maitreya Rishi is saying Rishi, Bruhi, please narrate. And narrate unto whom? And here he's saying Shraddha Dhanya Bhaktya, a devotee who is actually faithful. Right? Who is faithful? Faithful to the topics of Hari Katha. And we'll talk about this verse Shraddha a little bit. And then Janma Vistaram. Please talk in detail. Vistara means talk about in detail what? Janma, the appearance of this Varaha. And and na tripyati manaha. Right? So my mind is not satisfied. And param kautuhalam. Have you heard this word kautuhalam before? Like what's the meaning of kautuhalam?
Very inquisitive.
Yeah, very inquisitive. Up to the point of almost like, like almost restless that I cannot survive without hearing this. Like such a very strong word. Kautuhal. It's like almost like I cannot live if you don't tell me this. It's like, my life breath has stopped. I cannot, that's the eagerness that Vidura has. So please narrate this. My mind is not satisfied. I'm very, very inquisitive to hear more about Janma Vistaram in detail. Don't just give me like 3 shlokas detail. I want to hear the entire pastime. So talk about it in detail. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport makes this point. One who is actually faithful and inquisitive is qualified to hear the pastimes of the Lord. What is the qualification to hear Krishna Katha? So 2 things, faithful and inquisitive. Right? So why faithful? What does it mean to be faithful to hear Krishna Katha? Anyone has any thoughts about that?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'm thinking whatever is narrated, we should listen to it with faith and not question why is it narrated this way.
Yeah, question in a sense like we shouldn't challenge the knowledge. Like question is good. Question, if it's submissive question, then yes, it is most welcome, but not in a challenging spirit. Okay, that's one point. Sure.
Prabhuji, if we don't have faith, then people will think that, oh, this is all mythology. They are all made up stories. That's not truth.
So actually it is said that this faith, like it is described that how our entire Krishna consciousness, our progress in Krishna consciousness is actually dependent on our faith. Like if you see in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the 3rd verse, Krishna, 9th chapter is like the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna, before speaking the knowledge, what does he say? Ashraddhadhana purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmi. That those who do not have Shraddha, Ashraddhadhana Purusha, then what is Dharmasyasya Parantapa? They actually cannot attain me. Aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartini. They will actually just continue, though I am giving this knowledge, but those who do not have Shraddha, they will just continue in the cycle of birth and death. And the purport is so amazing of the 9th canto, 3rd chapter. And Prabhupada actually stresses in that purport the importance of faith. And he says, like, without faith, we cannot actually progress in our spiritual life. Like, even if you see in the 9 steps of from Shraddha to Prema, the first one is what? Shraddha. And it's not that it's only the first step. As we are progressing in our bhakti, our Shraddha should gradually increase. And then as it comes to a stage of like Nishtha is actually firm faith. So if you see Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivriti, then Nishtha. Nishtha is firm faith. So as we have progress in bhakti, the faith is actually the most important factor for progress in Krishna consciousness. Shraddha. Right? And right. So what does it mean to hear with Shraddha? So even like how we have the classifications of Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam, that's also classified based on the Shraddha of the practitioner, right? So in terms of hearing, we can say like 3 types of people come in contact with Krishna consciousness, right? The first one is those who are faithless in the sense like, let's say the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, they may come in contact with devotees, So that at that moment, their faith may not be strong. They may have faith in the sense like they are not convinced that bhakti is actually the highest. They still have that, no, I have to do karma, I have to do jnana, I have to do yoga. All those things are important. So that is one class of people, right? So they are faithless. The second one is impure faith. What does that mean? They have faith that yes, bhakti is important, but what is their mode of bhakti? It is not anya bhilasita sunya. They come with bhakti that yes, I'm going to this Harikatha and I've heard that maybe Bhagavatam says, if I hear Harikatha, then all my desires will be fulfilled. So what all desires I have, that maybe even like not pure desires, it will be fulfilled. So let me go and hear Harikatha. So that is impure faith. But finally, what is the third level? So faithless, impure faith, and then pure faith. What is those pure faith? Are those people who are cultivating systematic devotional service. They are convinced Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kole Shuddhire Nishe Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Kritva. Right? They are convinced that actually just Krishna Bhakti, that is the highest perfection. I don't need to do anything else. If I can just hear this Harikatha, if I can just absorb my mind in Harikatha, then that is the perfection. So that is the level of faith. And here Vidura is actually making the point that if I am, what is my situation? I am a Shraddha Dhanaya Bhaktya. I am a devotee who has that level of faith, who actually, when you come to that level of faith, what is it? As I said, Shraddha Shabde, Vishwasa Shuddhi Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarvakram. Just by engaging Krishna Bhakti, everything is perfect. So when that is your situation, then when you hear Krishna Katha, you'll be hearing Krishna Katha as if your life depends upon it. And that is the level of faith that a person should have. Right? So that is the qualification to hear. And then the other point is inquisitiveness. Now, this point of inquisitiveness, that is not something that one can artificially create. Like that eagerness and inquisitiveness cannot be artificially created. But as we progress in our bhakti and we get taste in hearing, then naturally we become more inquisitive and more eager to hear. Okay? So, yeah, so these are the 2 points, inquisitive and faithful. So I was suggest reading that purport to Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, text number 3. It's a beautiful purport. Prabhupada talks about this importance of Shraddha, and he also talks about how Shraddha is in 3 categories. Third class, they have no faith. Right? Second class, little bit faith. But the first class are those who have that faith that only Krishna consciousness is what I need. That is my goal. That is my perfection. Right? So that is the level. If you have that faith, then you are really a qualified hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Right. So okay. Anyway, you can read the 9.3. It's very nice. Okay. So those are the 2 qualifications to hear. Faith and eagerness. Okay, text 5. So now Maitreya will actually start speaking. Now, will Maitreya directly jump into the details of Janma Vistaram? What will he do first? Now you have studied so much Srimad Bhagavatam. What will he do first?
We glorify the
He'll glorify the question. Right? He'll like, your question is so glorious, right? So that's what we'll see. Okay, Maitreya Vacha.
Maitreya Vacha Sadhu Viratvaya Prishtam Avatarakatam Hare Yatvam Prachasi Martyanam Mrityupasha Vishatanim. Pratama.
The great sage Maitreya said, O warrior, the inquiry made by you is just befitting a devotee, because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. He is a source of liberation from the chain of birth and death for all those who are otherwise destined to die. Thank
you. So here he says, O Veera. Why is he calling Vidura a Veera, a warrior? It's a very interesting point here that, we know how Vidura, he left his bow, right? After that entire insult by Duryodhan, what did he do? When he walked out of the palace, he kept his bow on the side and he walked out, right? But why is he calling Vidura a Veera here? Like we have seen that he has often used the word Shata to actually call Vidura, right? Shata, that word comes again and again. But why Veera in the sense?
Because his question is for all the entire, all the people. I mean, the question is regarding that one, not only for himself, but for all entire world will be purified.
Yeah, so that's a good point that the question is actually so beneficial not only for himself but for everyone else that is there. But particularly here, he's actually addressing Vidura as Veera because what is Vidura asking about? He wants to hear about the fight between Hiranyaksha and Varahadev, right? So Vidura as such, he is a Kshatriya, right? And the nature of that of being a Kshatriya, though he's right now not engaged in the activity of fighting, but that same nature can be satisfied by hearing those particular activities of Krishna that are actually to do with the fighting mood, right? And hence he actually says, and it's a very practical point also, that like based on our varna, we could be attracted to certain pastimes of Krishna that are more in that mood just to satisfy our desire for the varna, right? So here hence he says, "Oh Vidura, oh warrior," right? And then further he says, "Sadhu tvaya prishtam," right? So your questions are actually benefiting to everyone. Yatvam prichasi. What you are asking is actually beneficial for everyone. Avatar katham harehe. Why? Because it is focused on what katha? Is it focus on politics katha, sports katha? No, Hare katha. Because it is Avatar Hare katha. Because it is focusing on the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. Right. Martanya Mritu Pasha Vishtani. And just by hearing this, Martyanam means those who are destined to die. Who is destined to die? All of us. Right? All of us. For all the people who are destined to die, Mrityu Pasha Vishatini. It will be the source of liberation from that Pasha. Pasha is almost like a chain of birth and death. Right? Your question is so glorious that first of all, it will benefit everyone. Second, it is directly related to Hari, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And third point, it is for all who are destined to die, it will be a source of liberation from this chain of birth and death. Okay. So these are 3 points, and this way he is glorified the question. And you can actually think like, see, this is finally like, Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. This is, they are the original speakers. And now we are hearing between Suta and Shaunaka. And then in that we are hearing between Vidura and Maitreya. So imagine like Parikshit Maharaj is hearing this and he is on the verge of that. Martyana. He has like maybe like at this point 6 days more to live. Right? And for him, when he said, just you hear this and you'll be free from the cycle of birth and death. So it's so assuring. Just hear Harikatha. Right? Okay. So Prabhupada in the purport talks of Veera, and he says Vidura was from the Kuru family, and hence he was anxious to hear about what? The chivalrous, the fighting activities of the Lord. Right? And inquiries, and his inquiries are so glorious because this will lead to a discussion of not only Varahadev, but further Narsimhadev. Right, Narsimhadev, because it is Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, right? So it is perfectly fit for a devotee. And then further Prabhupada makes a point that devotee has no taste to hear about mundane politics and games, sports, etc. And but a devotee may be inclined to hear about war. But what kind of war? A war where the Lord is actually engaged. Like in one of the lectures, Prabhupada makes a point that we are not interested in any war, like Russian Revolution or any other French Revolution. We are not interested in all these things. But we are interested in battlefield of Kurukshetra. Why? That's a war, right? Because Krishna is there and his devotees are there. Hence, the battle of Kurukshetra is worth hearing about. Right? It's the same point Prabhupada is making here. Right. Yeah. And also Prabhupada makes a point in the purport. He says sometimes people are suspicious of why Krishna took part in a battlefield. If Krishna is completely transcendental, why did he actually take part in this battle of Kurukshetra? And then Prabhupada actually elaborates that how Bhishma Pitama himself made the point that just because of your presence in battle, everyone is liberated, right? So to actually give everyone this opportunity of liberation, Krishna has to fight a battle. That's just a secondary thing. But see the main benefit, everyone present in the battlefield of Kurukshetra is getting liberation. So what more do we want from this? And also plus, everyone in the future generation who will hear about the battle of Kurukshetra, they will get liberation, right? So why question why did Krishna take part in the battle of Kurukshetra? See the benefit of that? Hearing about everyone on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and everyone who hears about the battlefield of Kurukshetra will get liberation. Then why should Krishna not take part in such an activity? Okay. Okay, and then also Prabhupada makes this point that one who takes delight in hearing the war topics of the Lord is relieved from the war against Maya. Right? You hear about the war, Krishna's war, and you'll get free from the war against Maya. Right? So you have to take delight. You have to take delight in these pastimes. Okay. Next verse, text number 6. Right. So here he made the point that just who hears about this, what is the benefit? He'll be freed from the chain of birth and death. Is there a proof for this? That anyone who heard about it and got free from the cycle of birth and death? Is there a proof? Yeah, Parikshit Maharaj for sure. But that is like, now the conversation is going on. So he has to give a proof from someone before, right? Not after. So in next verse, he'll give the proof of how someone who just heard Harikatha and he got free from the cycle of birth and death. Right? Okay, text 6.
Yayotana-pada-putro munina gitayarbhakaha mrityo kritvaiva murdhyangrim aruroha harer-padam.
See the first line? Yaya Uttana Pada Putra. Who is Uttana Pada Putra? Right. So that's the example. Okay, now you can read the translation.
By hearing these topics from the sage Narada, the son of King Uttanapad Dhruva was enlightened regarding the personality of Godhead. Sorry, page. And he ascended to the abode of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of death.
So Yaya, by which? By hearing such pastime, Uttanapada Putra, the son of Uttanapad, he heard it from Munina. Who was the Munina? Narad Muni. He heard it from Narada. Gitaya, he actually being sung. And then what happened then? Arbakaha, a child, he actually grew a child. Like it says Arbakaha, a child. And when we say like Dhruva Maharaj, when he actually died, he was a child. I mean, we know the pastime when Dhruva Maharaj actually, he went to the forest, he was 5 years old. But when he actually died, he was a child. Arbakaha, and he will come to that. Arbakaha, then what did he do? That child, Mrityu Kritva Murdhani. He actually, like when he was getting onto that chariot or the airplane that was taking him back to Godhead, he saw death was standing there with folded hands. And he saw, oh, this is a good opportunity. And he put his feet on the head of death personified and used that as a stepping stone to climb onto the chariot. And that way, he's conquered this chain of birth and death, right? Angrim, right? Angrim Aroha. So he put his feet on the Murdina, on the head of death personified. And then by that, he actually ascended where? Harer Padam. He actually went to the abode of Hari. Okay, so this is a proof that the topics of the Lord can deliver one from the world. So when so how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur he actually says, Dhruva, when the airplane arrived with Sunanda, right, on the airplane, then Dhruva, he was looking for a place to step onto, before going onto the airplane. And he saw death standing there. And he saw this was a good opportunity to put feet on death before. And hence he actually, so the point that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is making, that by doing that, without giving up his body, in his original body, he actually ascended to the spiritual world. So this whole point about the boy Arbaka is that though Dhruva, the entire pastime we hear, he was 5 years old. And later on, when Vishnu actually appeared, then what did he tell Dhruva? You ruled the kingdom for 36,000 years. Right? So he ruled for a very long time. But still, because he was always absorbed in Vishnu, he actually did not age. And he was still, after 36,000 years, still a young boy. And he placed his feet on death. And then in the same body, he actually ascended back into the spiritual world. Okay? So hence the word Arbakaha is actually used. Okay. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, is death personified different from Yamaraj?
Yeah, it's different. Right? Like Yamraj is in charge of, like he's saying, the controller of death one way. Right? So he's actually like, okay, he actually is the one who actually determines, okay, what are your sinful activities? Okay, this is your punishment, this is your punishment. So between that period of death and the next birth, what kind of punishments one will get, that is all determined by Yamaraj and his servants, the Yamadutas. You know? So death personified can be said to be a servant of Yamaraj. You know? So Yamaraj is the controller of death. So otherwise, like, you know, it couldn't be Yamraj, or because why would Dhruva actually put his feet on a devotee, on one of the Mahajans, Yamaraj?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in the last verse, we read that all the people who took part in the war of Kurukshetra, they got liberation. We generally read that the enemies, they get impersonal liberation. But in the last but one line, Prabhupada is writing that everyone attained their original spiritual existence after death, the Swarupa. Even the enemies got their own Swarupa.
Yeah, so we read this, right? It was there in the first canto that it said that those who looked at Krishna and they appreciated the beauty of Krishna before dying. Oh, Krishna is so beautiful. And then immediately they got what? They actually got their original spiritual existence. It wasn't impersonal liberation at that point. It was actually they got their original swarup. And then the other category was described as those who what was the other point? Anyone remembers? So one is like those who saw Krishna, they developed appreciation, immediately they got to Vaikuntha. And then the other category, there's one more category that was described. I'm
So
forgetting.
those who were yes, they were in Brahman. They went into Brahman. That is there. And then because the presence of Krishna means because I remember reading in the first canto that they were envious people, and then there were people who appreciated in spite of being in the opposite party.
Yeah. I mean, that is, see, like actually the two categories are actually like one who appreciated Krishna and one who actually just saw Krishna without appreciation. I think that is
Appreciation, yes, without appreciation.
without
Still,
that,
they were also
they
going to
also
Vaikuntha.
got the spiritual world. Yeah. So it's positive, both of them were positive. Okay. So
Well, in this context, I think visit is Bhagavad Gita somewhere that it was Krishna, the arrows were actually killing their material body, whereas Sudarshan Chakra was hovering, which who took up all this subtle bodies and destinations back.
you read this somewhere?
If you heard that, I'll find out that and share that.
Okay, so this is why is he talking about Dhruva right now? Because this is the proof how Dhruva, because he heard from Narad Muni, he could actually place his feet on death, and that way he is conquered death. Right? So the whole, like, what is the theme here? Maitreya Rishi is glorifying the question of Vidura and saying, your question is so wonderful, you can conquer birth and death just by hearing about this, and Dhruva is the proof. Right? There's one more verse we read, right? What is it? 1 to 5. Munaya sadhu prishtoham bhavadbir loka mangalam. You remember this? Yat krita Krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. 1 to 5. It actually same point. Like when after the sages of Naimisharanya asked this question, then Suta Goswami is saying, Munaya sadhu prishtoham. Your question is actually so glorious. Why? Bhavadbir loka mangalam. Because it's auspicious for the entire loka. Right? Yat krita Krishna samprashna. Because it's dealing with Krishna, it's a yenatma suprasidati. It will give the highest satisfaction or happiness to everyone. Similar point. Okay. Text 7.
Atatrapitaha soyam shruto me varnita pura brahmana deva devena devana manuprichatam.
Hare Krishna. This history of the fight between the Lord as a boar and the demon Hiranyaksha was heard by me a year long ago. as it was described by the foremost of the demigods, Brahma, when he was questioned by the other demigods.
Yeah. So, whenever the answer is given, first is glorification of the question. Second, after that, they have to give a reference. Because if there's no reference, what is the authority? So here, what is the reference? Actually, Brahma spoke this entire pastime. And when did he speak? When he was Devanam Anuprichtatam. Prichatam. When the demigods asked Brahmaji about this same pastime, then Brahmaji spoke. So I will narrate to you that same thing, Itihasa, what I heard from Brahmaji. Right? What I heard from Brahma, the same thing I'm going to tell you. Okay, text number 8. So now the story actually starts. Right? So the whole theme is pregnancy of Diti in the evening. So now we'll start off. If you see the first word in text 8 is what? Diti. Right? So we'll start off with the story now. Okay. Okay. Everyone good? Okay. So let's start Diti. What does he say?
Ditir Dakshyayani Kshatar Maricham Kashyapam Matpatim Apatya Kamachakame Sandhyayam Richayardita.
Hare Krishna translation. Diti, daughter of Daksha, being afflicted with sex desire, begged her husband Kashyapa, the son of Marichi, to have intercourse with her in the evening in order to beget a child. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so see, now in previous verse we read that Maitreya Rishi is saying that, oh, the demigods asked Brahmaji, right? To actually give the context why the demigods asked Brahmaji, he is actually now going to narrate the birth of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Right? So it is like, okay, I'm going to, yes, the demigods asked Brahma, but I have to give the reference why the demigods asked Brahma about this fight between Hiranyaksha and Varaha. So because of that, to give that reference, I'll have to tell you the story of the birth of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Hence, he starts off with Diti, right? So that's the reference here. And Shataha, we have heard this Shataha, O Vidura. What they say? Ditir Dakshayini, who Daksha, Diti, who is the daughter of Daksha. Then Maricham, Kashyapa. So the son of Marichi, Kashyap Muni, who is Pati, whose husband is Kashyapa Muni, the son of Marichi. And then what is the introduction of Diti that we are hearing? Diti, they talk of Apatya Kama, right? She is actually desirous of having a child, Chakame, long for Sandhyayam. Rit Shaya Arditaha. So what is the main thing is actually Diti is overcome with lust. Rit Shaya Ardita. She's distressed by a sexual desire. Right? And hence she's actually approaching her husband, Kashyapa, and she's actually saying, because I have been overcome by this desire of lust, I want to have union with you so that I can have a child. So that's fine. Did we read the translation?
Yes.
So now we are going to read what was wrong in Diti's approaching Daksha, right? So one point is already wrong in this verse is that when did she approach? What is the Sanskrit word here that says which time she actually approached? Sandhyayam, in the evening. Right? To actually have sex in the evening is considered very inauspicious time. So we'll see there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 points which are actually the wrong time, place, motivation of Diti approaching Daksha. Oh, sorry, Kashyapa. Right? So first is Sandhyayam. Okay, text 9.
So evening means like before night, like in between day and night.
Twilight.
Twilight.
And then we'll read later that how Kashyapa will actually explain what is wrong with evening, approaching in the evening. So he'll explain that. That'll come later in this chapter. Okay. But first we consider the evening as a wrong time for this. So let's see further what all was wrong. Text 9.
Ishtvagni jivam payasa purusham yajusam patim nimlochat yarka asinam agnagare samahitam.
The sun was setting, and the sage was sitting in trance after offering oblations to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, whose tongue is the sacrificial fire. Hare Krishna.
So Ishtva, what was Kashyap Muni actually doing? Ishtva, he has just worshipped Agni Jiva. Agni Jiva. Jiva is tongue, right? So who is, the fire is actually considered as the tongue of the personality of Godhead. So when we actually do a yagya, we say Swaha, Swaha. And when we are offering grains and ghee, we are one way pouring, giving all this onto the tongue of Vishnu. And hence is actually the word Agni Jiva is actually used. So what did Kashyap Muni had just do? He was just worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purusham, and Yajusham through sacrifices, right? And then what was it? Nimlochi Arke. The sun was just setting. And where was Kashyap Muni? Was he in his bedroom? No, he was just, he was sitting Agni Agare in the sacrificial hall. And what was his situation? Samahitam. He was in Samadhi. Right? So imagine the husband is just finished the yagya. He's just worshipping Vishnu, right? And his situation is that he is in samadhi, right? In samadhi, and he is sitting in a sacrificial hall. So what are the other wrong points? First is twilight. Second is she's approaching at the wrong time when the husband is actually worshipping the master of sacrifice. He's actually performing a yagya. Third point, Nimlochiti Arke, the sun was setting. Right? So this is similar to the Sandhyaya, right? Sun was setting. Then fourth point, Asinam Agni Agare. He was sitting in the sacrificial hall. He was not in the bedroom or any other place. He was in the sacrificial hall. And fifth one, Samahitam. He was in Samadhi. All these 5 points are actually wrong time, wrong place, and wrong mood to actually approach someone for sex. So. Okay. And Prabhupada actually in the purport, he says fire is considered as the tongue of the personality of Godhead. And this is the principle of all sacrifices. That whenever we are doing yagya, we have to always consider that finally, who is the beneficiary of the yagya? Who are we offering all this swaha to? It's actually Vishnu. Because tongue is actually, the fire represents the tongue of Vishnu. Right? So we should always have, so he said, Prabhupada says, this is a principle of all sacrifices. That whenever we are doing yagya, we have to remember who is the Bhokta. Bhoktaram, Yagya, Tapasa. Right? Sarva Loka Maheshwara. Okay. So these 5 points.
Prabhu, can you repeat those 5 points, Prabhu?
So first in previous verse, we read Sandhyaya, evening. Right? Second point is what was the husband actually doing? He was performing a yagya. Right? So that's the wrong time to actually approach. That when your husband is doing yagya, you won't approach a husband to ask for a sexual union. That's second wrong. Third, sun was setting. So this is similar. The third point and first point is kind of similar, but we'll talk about this also later on when Kashyap Muni explained. Nimlochiti Arke, the sun was setting. Fourth point, where was the place? He was not in his bedroom. He was actually in the sacrificial hall. Asinam Agni Agare. Agare means the place where Agni, where the sacrifice was happening. And what was the situation? His situation was Samahitam. He was in Samadhi. Right? So basically we see wrong time, wrong place, and wrong mood or wrong circumstance for approaching the husband for union. Okay, so now from text 10 to 15, next 6 verses, we'll see Diti's reason for approaching her husband. Okay, so first text 10.
Ditiruvacha esha mam tvatkrite vidvan kama atarsarasanaha dunoti dinam vikramya rambham eva matangajaha.
Hare Krishna. In that place, the beautiful Diti expressed her desire. O learned one, Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcibly, as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree.
Okay, so it's interesting. So what is Diti actually? Diti Uvacha. Prabhupada in the word to word, he says, beautiful Diti. Right? Because the Prabhupada is actually creating the whole mood that, she's a beautiful wife approaching her husband. But what does she say? Vidwan. why does she address her husband as "O learned one"? Right? "O learned one." Like, when you're approaching your husband, like approaching the husband for sexual union, why would you say "O learned one"? But the point is here, the main point is Eshaha Mam Tvam Kritve. Mam Tvam Kritve. That means, actually, you are doing this to me. She's approaching her husband and saying, you are doing this to me. What? Kamaha. Kama, Cupid. Right? You are actually creating this Cupid, the lust in me. Why? Ataha, and then, further she says, Ataha Shara Shanaha. Right? That means it's, the Cupid is taking the arrows and Vikramya is attacking me. Right? So Diti is going to her husband and saying, "Oh, learned man, you are the one who is doing this to me. And what are you doing? You are actually responsible for Cupid shooting arrows at me and attacking me." Right? And because of that, what is my situation? Dunoti, I am in great distress. Dinam, I am so poor. Right? I have the strong desire which is not fulfilled. I am so poor. Right? And what is my situation? Eva Rambha Matam Gajaha. Just like a mad elephant is destroying a banana tree. I am like a banana tree and a mad elephant is coming and just like pulling off the banana tree. My situation is just like that. The Cupid is so strong and I am like a weak banana tree. What is my situation? Right? But why does she say that you are the one who's creating this? So if you see in the purport, Prabhupada says, she frankly said that the whole body was distressed by sex desire because of her husband's presence. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually elaborates on this. So the point is, I was thinking about this point that, like, now if you see in Kali Yuga, if someone is lusty, they could go like watch, some of a dirty movie or something like that and try to fulfill the lust, something like that. But in Vedic culture, you feel lusty when you are, if there's lust, then it's like, okay, husband is there, he's a learned person, he's powerful, and you have lust. That means that Vedic culture was such that lust means it has to be husband and wife. There is no question of outside the union of husband and wife to actually have, express one's lust. Right? So that is the point here. And also, the other point is that, a wife going to her husband and actually asking when he's actually doing a yagya, it seems so like, why would someone do that? And she's here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually explains that Diti is actually thinking that my situation is such that this lust is so strong, it is actually destroying my life heirs. It's so strong, it's almost taking away my life. And if my life is taken away, then what I have to do with shyness? Natural inclination of a woman is her shyness. And then, in Vedic culture, we say like, okay, even if there's a desire, then she may actually express that desire through, very subtle ways, like, bodily movements or moving the eyebrows. And we saw that in the first canto, right? How did the queens of Dwarka actually welcome Krishna? Very subtle way, right? Just through their eyebrows or just through a glance. That is actually Vedic culture, very subtle. Very, that way. It's like in Kali Yuga, everything is so gross. But her even approaching Diti and, Kashyapa and actually saying directly that, oh, I want to have union with you. That also is not, it is like beyond Vedic culture. But she's doing that just with that excuse that my life heirs are being destroyed. I have to give up my shyness. It's like if someone is taking away your life, then you won't consider so much about culture. It's like, protect me right now. That is my need right now. So hence she is actually approaching in that way. Right? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it's not the nature of the best among women to beg for union with a man. But Diti could not control her lust, her sexual appetite. Therefore, she suppressed her shame and fear, and she actually spoke loudly. Then why are you not protecting me? I am like the banana tree which has been harassed by an elephant. You are the one who's actually created this Cupid. You protect me. And that's the mood between Diti and Kashyapa. Okay? Everyone, okay? Like you understand why is she saying that? Oh, you are the one who's actually creating this list, right? And also it is one way DT's plan that if I say that you are responsible, then it's more like, okay, you have to fulfill me. That's her mood finally, that she wants Kashyap to actually fulfill her desire and have union with her. Okay, text 11.
No, I think it's kind of like, how we have a fault and then we blame someone else for, like, it's, like we have some weakness and then we put it on someone else. It's
Like, I have this weakness because of you. Now you have
Yeah.
to do something about it.
Yeah.
It's less like her mood right now. Yeah. Okay. Next, 11.
Tadbhavan dayamanayam sapatninam samriddhibihi prajavatinam badram te mayayunka mayayunktam anugraham.
Therefore, you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy.
So second reason, so first reason is what? That she is overcome by the sex. It's almost like an elephant destroying the banana tree. And she already said that I am Deenam. I am like a poor person where my desires are not being fulfilled. So my sex desire is so strong. The Cupid is almost destroying me. That's the first reason. Second reason here we see that she actually says, Tad Bhavan, oh your good self. Like she's praising her husband one way. Right? Previously, what did you say? Oh, learned man. Here she's saying, oh, your good self, right? And then dhaya manayam. I'm actually very distressed, not only because of lust, but I'm distressed. Why? Sapatnina, right? My co-wives, right? So Kashyap, like we'll read further that there were like 13 daughters were given to Kashyap Muni. So it's other co-wives, other wives, they have what? Samriddha. So all my co-wives actually have so much prosperity. Why? Because they have children. Prajaratina. They have children, Prajavatina, but I do not have any children. Why is it all the co-wives have children? I do not have any children. How can I tolerate this? How can I tolerate this, right? Therefore, Badram Temai Anugraha. You show complete mercy upon me and you also bless me with a child. Right? So, see, the main point is that of lust. And to satisfy that lust, she's actually justifying it by saying that, okay, everyone does not have, other wives have children, I don't have, hence give me a child. So her second reason here is show mercy upon me and I want to have children. Other wives have children, I don't have it. How can I tolerate this? Please give me a child. And Prabhupada in the purport talks about how Bhagavad Gita says that Kamosmi Bharatarshava. When you have actually sex for procreation of children, particularly Krishna conscious children, then that is righteous, right? But sex for sense gratification is actually unrighteous and it is actually sinful. So her desire here to have sons here was actually just to satisfy her lust. So it was unrighteous or it was sinful. Okay. Next, text number 12.
Bhartaryaptarumananam lokan avishate yashaha patir bhavad vido yasam prajaya nanujayate.
A woman is honored in the world by the benediction of her husband, and a husband like you will become famous by having children because you are meant for the expansion of the living entities.
You see how like Diti is like so tricky. She said you are Prajapati, right? Kashyapa. Your duty is what? You have to procreate children. It's your duty. So fulfill your duty. It's all on her. She wants to have the union, but she's saying it is your duty to procreate. Hence, you should actually do this. Right? So, but in addition to that, what's the point she's saying? So she says, Lokan in this world, Bratari by husband, Avishate Yashaha, the fame of woman who are greatly respected by their husbands, in whom the husbands like you are born in the form of sons. See, you are glorious. But if you actually give birth to someone in my womb who is as glorious as you, then not only you will become famous, I mean, like not only the fame of a woman will be greatly appreciated, but even you will actually become famous. And not only that, it is actually your duty to procreate. Hence, hence you actually unite with me. Right. And the last part is because you are meant for expansion of living entities. Okay, so third reason is okay. Third reason is basically that, if you actually give a son as qualified as you in my womb, then not only you will be glorious, like, if the son is actually a very great son, then naturally the father is glorified, right? So you'll become famous, and not only that, I will also become famous. And the fourth reason is actually it's your duty to prajaya nanu jayate. It is your duty to procreate. So you should actually do this. Now, Prabhupada in the purport, he talks about, according to Rishabdev, this is 5th canto of Bhagavatam. It says, this is a verse, Guru na sasyat, swajano na sasyat. Right, we actually were recently trying to learn this verse. Pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na tatsyan, na patis cha sasyan, na mochayadya samupeta mrityum. And what does this verse say? That do not become a guru, right? One should not become a guru. Swajano na sasya. Right? One should not become a father. One should not become a husband, pita, and then after that it says swajano na sasya. Yeah, a husband. One should not become a mother, right? And nor a worshipable demigod if one cannot deliver his dependence from the path of birth and death. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport is actually using this verse and saying that one should not become a father or mother unless one is confident that he can beget children who he can deliver from birth and death. Right? Human life is an opportunity to get out of this material scene, and hence it's a duty of the parents to give children that opportunity to actually get them free from the cycle of birth and death. Okay, text 13. So 4 reasons. Everyone's okay? Okay. Now let's see further what she says. 13.
Purapitano Bhagavan Daksha Duhitri Vatsalaha Kamvrinita Varam Vatsa Etya Pricha na Pritak.
In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksha, who was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom we would prefer to select as our husband.
So basically now she's saying Pura in the days long ago, Pita, our father, right? So her father, and who is that? Daksha. We already read that Dakshayani. She's the daughter of Daksha. And here is Bhagwan Daksha. He's very opulent Daksha. Durita Vatsala. He was very affectionate to his daughters, and Aprichata na Pritak. He actually came to us Pritak, separately, and asked each one of us. What did he ask? Kam Vrinita Varam. Whom do you want to accept as your husband? Right? So again, we see like Prabhupada makes a point in the purport of Vedic culture. The free selection of a husband was allowed by the father, but not by free association. Right? Interesting point. So in Kali Yuga, what is it? In Kali Yuga, it is mainly free association. You can just meet a girl, you like a girl, and then you see like physically you're compatible, your desires are okay, and then you say, okay, parents, we want to get married. We have already decided we want to get married. We need your blessings. Right? That is Kali Yuga. But here, what is the culture Prabhupada is saying? That yes, the daughter had a choice, and the father used to go and ask the daughter and say like, okay, who do you want to get married to? And because the daughter is shy, she will not directly tell the father. She'll go to the grandmother and she'll say, Dadi, I like so-and-so boy. He's so nice. If you tell my father, he will actually approve. The Prabhupada talks about that. So that's like the culture that, daughter will talk to the grandmother or grandfather, because it's like very open, loving connection. The father then there's like all strict rules, right? So she'll go to her grandmother and say like, oh, I like so-and-so boy. And the grandmother say, come to the father and say like, oh, your daughter likes this person. He's very nice. You should approve. But the father has still the choice. So father will say, okay, this boy, let me see. What kind of IT company he is working for? I know. Basically, the father sees what is the qualification of the boy, how much is he earning, will he keep my daughter happy, what is his character, and then based on that, the father will say, "Okay, you want that? I'll approve." So even the daughter, like even in Swayamvara, right? When we see all the Swayamvara, the daughter actually has a choice, right? She actually says, "Okay, I want to select so and so as a husband." Right? So Prabhupada talks about that, and he says the ultimate selection dependent on the choice of the father. Now 14, like this point will continue in the next verse.
Saviditvatmajanamno bhavan sanatano bhavanaha trayodashadadattasam yaste shila manuvrataha.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Our well-wishing father, Daksha, after knowing our intentions, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you, and since then we have all been faithful. Hare Krishna.
So previous verse, she said like our father Daksha approached each one of us separately and said, okay, whom do you want to select as a husband? And here she's saying, Saha Daksha understanding, Viditva Atma Janam. He understood the desires of the daughter. And the daughter, how did they actually tell the father Daksha? They did not directly tell the name, but just through suggestions or through other personalities like grandmother, etc. Then Naha Bhavam Vidita. So father, he understood what is the intention. And what did Daksha do? He handed over 13 of his daughters to you, Kashyapa. Right? 13 of daughters to Kashyapa. And then the main point here is Shilam Anuvrataha. And we all have been Shilam. Our character, all of us, has been equal to you. Like we all have equally, faithfully served you. Then why are you making a discrimination that you have given all of them son and you have not given me a son? So that's our whole point, that why I also served you like the other wives have served you. So why are you not giving me a son and you're giving the others? Others already have son, right? And also the other point is that how did Diti select Kashyapa? Then here the point is meant that Diti was attracted to Kashyapa even before marriage. Right? Even before marriage, she was attracted, and hence she actually told her father by indication that, okay, I want to marry. So it shows that I'm attracted to you, and also I've been faithful to you. So how can you deny my request at this moment? That's her point. Okay. Text 15.
Atame kuru kalyanam kamam kamalalochana arto paso sarpanam bhuman amogham hi mahiyasi.
Hare Krishna. O lotus-eyed one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his pleas should never go in vain. Hare Krishna.
So 5 reasons we have covered, and this is a 6th reason. Now, what is she addressing her husband? Kamala Lochana. So imagine like she's like, has a desire to unite, and she's just praising her husband more and more. And she's saying, you are lotus-eyed. Imagine like wife is approaching the husband and saying, you are lotus-eyed, oh my Lord. And then Atha me kuru kalyanam. Please give me this one benediction. Fulfill my kamam, my desire. And then what is the point? Artra upasanam bhuma. You are actually a great person. And if a distressed approaches a great person, then he, Mahishi, the great person, will certainly fulfill the desire of the distressed. And you're such a great person, like anyone, if someone is poor, he approaches someone who is a great person, then certainly that great person will fulfill the desire, at least give something. So similarly, I am approaching you, you are Kamala Lochana, you are such a great person, you fulfill my desire. Okay. So Prabhupada in the purport makes this interesting point. He says, Diti knew well that her request might be rejected because of untimely situation. Right? She knew it, but she pleaded that when there is an emergency or a distressful condition, there is no consideration of time or situation. So basically here, she's making this last point. She's saying that you're a great person, and a great person do not deny a distressed person. She's making the point that, yes, okay, I know the conditions are not so favorable, but still, I am distressed. You're a great person. So, all this time and place, that's all secondary. You fulfill my desire right away. So that's her point.
Prabhuji, so these are all the situations, so they're all the wrong times she's requesting, but there must be a greater reason why she's having those feelings or why this happened, right, Prabhu? Because they're all great people. So why she must be smart person too? She may know all of them. So why she couldn't?
See the whole point. What is the learning lesson in the whole thing? How powerful is the desire to have sex? The sexual appetite could be so strong that even Diti, they are actually like sons and grandsons of Brahmaji himself, like so qualified. Even she could not tolerate those lusty desires. How powerful is that desire for union? That is the learning lesson here. Right? So, okay, so this is what? So 6 reasons we have covered. Everyone okay? DT 6 reasons.
Prabhuji, I got only 4.
Okay, anyone wants to say what are the 6 reasons? What is the first one?
You created.
Was it Vijay Radhikamati? Let's see what points you have.
I had like Cupid's arrows are disturbing me.
Yeah. So first is lust, right? Second,
your presence is also disturbing.
that is the first point itself. Why is she feeling lusty? She's saying because you are right here and you are so qualified. That's first point. Second point is I desire a child.
Yes. Okay.
Right. Second point is I desire a child, and because all the other co-wives have children, I don't have. So you should give me a child also. Second reason. Third reason is if you actually give me a qualified son as glorious as you will become famous, and I'll become famous. Right. So hence it's good for you to do it. Right. And then fourth reason is actually you are also a Prajapati. Like the children of Brahma, they have the task of creating progeny. So when you give children, you are actually doing your seva, your duty, you're fulfilling your duty. Then fifth reason is that actually I have been attracted to you before marriage, and I have been as faithful as my other co-wives. So why are you making a discrimination of giving them children and not giving me a child? Fifth reason. And sixth reason is I am distressed. And you are a great person, and a great person would never say no to a distressful person. Hence, you fulfill my desire right away. Okay, so these are the 6 reasons. Now, from text 16 all the way to 31, we'll see how Kashyap Muni he responds to Diti. Right. So, what should be like? Just seeing the situation: wrong time, wrong place, wrong mood. Right? What should Kashyap's attitude be right now to Diti?
You be compassionate, but tell her what's the proper thing to do.
You said compassionate?
In a compassionate way, tell her that this is not the right time.
Anything else? Like how would Kashyap actually, how should like it could be in any relationship. Here we're talking about husband and wife, but if someone wants to do something at the wrong time, and it's like, oh, I'm so distressed, I want to do this. And it's a wrong, desire itself may not be wrong, but it's not the right time right now. And if you do it right now, try to fulfill your desire, then it's just going to create havoc. If you know that, then what should be your action? one way you should have some level of strictness that, okay, I understand you're distressed, but now, no, not right now. It should be like that. But see, we'll see what Kashyap is actually, how does he speak to Diti. And the next section is, we'll see how Kashyap glorifies the position of a wife. So in Bhagavatam, we see like, many sections which are like so, like brahmachari verses, we say. You just read the verses like, okay, why do I have to enter Grihastha ashram? Just be a brahmachari, renounce everything. And here we'll read the glories of a wife, and it's like really strong. So like for husbands, they can use this verses to glorify a wife. So we'll read that. Let's take a 5 minutes break. We'll come back and we'll continue. We'll see what Kashyap Muni tells Diti. So up to this point, any comments, realizations, questions?
Vivian, the Lemur Mataji had posted on the group chat. Could it also be called enviousness towards other wives?
Oh yeah, possibly, right? Because they all have children, I don't have, so naturally there may be a mood of envy that why not me? I also deserve that same thing. Yeah, sure.
So Prabhuji, like, what should we learn from this?
We'll see. Now we'll learn the lesson in the next few verses.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
We also read that, the progression of lust, which makes a person completely bewildered. And like here, it also happens like lust, jealousy, and it progresses and she becomes completely bewildered and loses her mind.
Are you referring to the Bhagavad Gita section?
Yes, Prabhu.
Dhayato Visham Pumsam Sangastishu Pajayate Sangat Kama Krodha Vijayate.
Yeah,
Right? As soon as you contemplate, then lust develops. Then from lust, attachment. Then memory is bewildered. Intelligence is lost. And one falls back into this material pool. I mean, because of lust, one person loses the discrimination. That is one of the key lessons from this pastime. And how strong the desire of lust can be, that desire to enjoy is so strong that discrimination is gone. And patience also one loses. I will see that.
Prabhuji, I like the point you said that pure faith is what we need. Absorbed in Krishna Katha is perfection. Everything is perfect in Bhakti Yoga. The urgency should be that my life depends on that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that's talked of impure faith, a faithless person, impure faith, and the person who has faith. Right? So 9.3 is a good purport to study to understand the importance of Shraddha in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so let's take 5 minutes break and we'll come back and we'll see what Kashyap Muni will tell Diti. Okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
One more time, please. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
Did Diti has any story in previous life that led to this situation?
Not that I know of.
Hmm.
Yeah. See the whole, like, Mata, you're asking, like, why does this whole thing actually take place? I mean, like, what are we finally coming to? The birth of Hiranyaksha and
Yeah.
Hiranyakashipu,
Yeah.
right? And that is actually related to Jay and Vijay's fall down, right? Curse and how they take this form. And towards the end of this chapter, we'll see that, Kashyap Muni will tell Diti that everything was wrong in what we did, But there'll be one positive thing. And what is that positive thing?
They will
Yeah.
die in the hands of Krishna.
Okay, but even more positive than that, your grandson will be?
Liberated.
Prahlad
Your
Maharaj.
grandson will be Prahlad, the greatest of all devotees will be your grandson. So this chapter ends with Kashyap Muni actually saying that, yes, everything was wrong. But yes, your sons will be killed by Vishnu. So that's one positive thing. And then beyond that, Prahlad, that great devotee, and this chapter ends with glorification of Prahlad and how he's such a qualified personality. And that way Diti is like, okay, at least my grandson will be such a great devotee. So that ends with that. Okay, we'll come to that. But let's see.
Intentionally, that means Diti was not intentional towards having like asuras, right?
Diti was not what?
She was not intentional. I mean, she was not intended to have asuras. Like she also wanted to have sons like the Aditis, like
Yeah,
gods.
exactly. Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, it wasn't like, that, oh, I want to give birth to us. Like she's not like a
course.
like a mother of a demon who wants to give birth to demons. That's not her mood.
So,
She's also
so in
one.
that case, Prabhu, the point of like enviousness will not really work because she also wants to give like pious children. But then if enviousness was the primary factor, then of course she was like, I want to go against my four wives' sons.
Yeah. So,
That thing.
So, so the point, like, because that lust was influencing her to that extent, and lust is the strongest of emotion that leads to one losing intelligence, and then that leads to other negative qualities. That's why when you're thinking of envy, then I was thinking like, yeah, it is possible because one says lust, then all your intelligence goes, and then one can do anything. And here she's approaching the husband at the wrong time, wrong place, and when he's doing
Because at the pregnancy time, it is important to have the mindset, right, Prabhu? I mean, that jiva will come. So if she wants to go against her co-wives' sons, so that would be demonic attitude.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's a good point.
No, Mataji, Babaji, I feel that it was not enviousness because she said that we all are faithful. She is even praising her sisters too, right? She said that they are all faithful. I am also faithful, right? She's not saying anything against them, right? She's just saying that I also want to have.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
But could that be flattering also, in a sense?
I mean, there was a lot of flattering in her words for sure.
A lot of flattering.
Her entire speech was
Learned husband.
glorifying her husband, and just to get her desires fulfilled, she made all those points.
Also being shameless to that extent of directly going and speaking.
And speaking, yeah.
All this is flattering.
So I don't know if there's envy to her wife. Like, I mean, that's hard to say. Like, then Bhagavatam is not saying like one way. Like, because of the feeling of lust, then one loses all good qualities, then what nature comes underneath, one loses the discrimination, that's the whole point here. So yeah, but maybe it doesn't directly say that she was envious of her wives, So Vrindavan Vilasini's point that, that she is saying that we all are faithful. So even I need the same treatment as my wives. I need the same.
Because when we read about the Vritasura story, Prabhu, the wives they're mentioned that they were envious about Chitraketu's first wife, right?
That is for sure envy, and because of the envy, they kill the son. Yeah, that is for sure envy. So here, as such, that point has not been made about her being envious. She just wants the same treatment as the other wife. Okay, so let's see what Kashyapa actually says now. Text 16.
I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but like how to respond when there's a strong desire or strong urge, like how she should have dealt with it.
She or he?
Like both, because like she had such a how should she have like dealt with it, and when we have like a temptation, like how to deal with it.
Yeah. So at least how he should deal with it, that's the next verse. Okay. So let's see 16, how he should have dealt with this thing.
Yeah. I was asking just to advise kids, Prabhuji. Kids are becoming teenagers, so I was getting points more to advise them. That's why, Prabhuji.
Yeah, advise them about the danger of lust. Is that what you?
Strong urges that come, like how do you deal with the how
they should behave or how they should control.
Okay, I'll speak on that. Let's continue, and let's say what he should have done, and then I'll also say that how do you avoid these urges. Okay, let's continue.
Ititam Viramaarichaha Kripanam Bahubhashinim Pratyahanunayan Vacha Pravridhanangakashmalam.
Hare Krishna. O hero Vidura, Diti being thus afflicted by the contamination of lust and therefore poor and talkative, was pacified by the son of Marichi in suitable words.
So here is again we see Vira, but before he addressed Vidura as Vira, right? And that was a different reason because he wanted to hear about the chivalrous activities of Krishna. Now here, why is he addressing Vidura as Vira? We'll come to that. So, right, iti tam Vira Marichaha, right? So, O Vidura, O Vira. Now Marichaha, the son of Marichi, Kashyapa, right? And what are the qualities to describe Diti? First, he says Kripana. Unto that person who is poor. Poor, why? Because her desires are not fulfilled. Second, and also that poor could actually refer as one who has no control over the self. Now, why is she Kripana? Because she cannot control herself, her emotions. So that's first point, Kripana. Second one, Bahu Bhashitam. She's too talkative, right? We discussed this, that even that urge was there, like she should not have spoken it directly. It should have been more subtle, right? So too talkative. That's why it says Bahu Bhashinam. She's going and directly saying, and then she's justifying and giving all these reasons to do it, too talkative. Third, Pravriddha. She's highly agitated. She's highly agitated. And fourth, Ananga Kasmala. She is actually contaminated by lust, by the sinful contamination. So why are these 4 points actually made for Diti, right? Because it says, Ititas Maricha Kashyapa, he actually, what did he do? He says, Pratyaha Anunayan, Pratyaha Anunayan. He replied with Anunayan, with pacifying words. Right? So the point here, okay, so first point is actually when her situation was all these 4 points, Kripana, Bahubhashitam, Pravriddha, Ananga, Kashmala, contaminated with lust, then should he have actually spoken with pacifying words? No. Okay. And here it says Vidura Vira. Why? Because Vidura, you are actually a hero. You know how to control the senses because you are a devotee of Krishna. But Kashyapa could not control himself. He lacked that self-control. And hence, instead of speaking strong words, he actually just spoke pacifying words to someone who is actually afflicted by these 4 points. So Prabhupada actually makes this point that Kashyapa did not have sufficient strength to refuse his wife. Right? He didn't have that sufficient strength. So if not spiritually strong, actually, if he was spiritually strong, if he was a devotee of Krishna like Vidura, then he would have immediately refused with strong words expressing impossibility. That no, this is not possible. It's wrong time, wrong place, and these are going to be the consequences. No, this is not going to happen. Right? So if he was strong, he would have done that. Right? He would have, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that not even saying strong words, if you have just glanced at her with anger, just looked at her with a very angry vision, or if you have showed artificial anger, her affliction of lust would have disappeared out of fear that her husband is getting so angry. So what Kashyap Muni should have done, if he was spiritually strong, should have either like looked at her with anger or just refused with strong way saying that this is not going to happen, or even like feigned anger, like showed artificial anger. And just because of that, she'll get scared, and when she gets fearful, then her lust will actually go away. But instead of that, he just spoke with pacifying words. And when he spoke with pacifying words, her lust simply increased, saying that, oh, my husband loves me so much, now he will fulfill my desire. So her lust was just increasing. So this is what Kashyapa should have done, and and what he did not do. He just spoke pacifying words. So Prabhupada makes a point that one should be, he was not spiritually strong as Vidura. What does it mean to be spiritually strong? So I wrote this point, and it's a nice point that one can meditate. So here, if you see the situation, he had affection for his wife, no doubt about it. The wife had affection for the husband, no doubt. And then the wife had the desire. So at this moment, because of the affection is there, the desire is there, then naturally the husband's tendency out of affection would be, okay, let me fulfill the desire. Let me fulfill. I know she wants it, but maybe let's postpone it. Maybe let's find a better time and let's do it. But what does it mean to be spiritually strong? Is, okay, we have that relationship is there. And then all the points what she said is valid, that a great person cannot turn away one in distress. But the spiritual strength comes with our connection, not with, like for Kashyap Muni, not with a connection with deity, but if he would have focused on his connection with Guru and Krishna. There has to be that, like how Chaitanya Charan Prabhu said, there's a horizontal connection, like husband, wife, and so on. But that vertical connection is what gives us our spiritual strength. And the vertical connection is our connection with Guru and Krishna. And when that vertical connection is strong, in spite of all the horizontal allurements, if our vertical connection is strong, then Guru and Krishna will actually inspire us with the spiritual strength to make the right decision at the right time. So to go back to Lavanga Manjari Mata's question, like how can we actually overcome? Like if we are actually, overcome with that strong desire for sex or whatever is a strong desire which is not favorable to bhakti, how do we overcome? By turning to our vertical connection. By actually saying, okay, I cannot overcome. How can I overcome Maya? Maya is so strong, I have no hope to fight against Maya. But Maya is under the control of who? Krishna. And Guru is a representative of Krishna. But if I turn to Guru and Krishna at this moment, when I am afflicted by these desires, unfavorable desires, if I can somehow turn to Guru and Krishna and with folded hands offer a prayer, then I will get the spiritual strength to overcome this temptation. So this is when the desire comes. Right? When the desire is there, then we should find the connection. And we can find that connection only if, while doing our sadhana, we have actually developed a strong connection. So every day when we are chanting, we are doing a sadhana, we are actually strengthening this vertical connection with Guru and Krishna. And when that connection is strong, then we can overcome the other allurements in this material world. Otherwise, there is no hope. Right? So there has to be that transcendental connection, that superior connection that will actually help us. So if Kashyap Muni had that, connection with Guru and Krishna, like as soon as there's a connection with Guru, like as soon as you meditate on Guru, it'll be like immediately what comes? Well, I have given vows to my spiritual master, right? In front of the fire, in front of my spiritual master, in front of the deities, I have taken a vow to follow these 4 regulative principles. How can I break this vow? Immediately you're like, oh, how can I do this? How can I break my vow? I have given a vow to my Guru, right? So that vow, it actually creates the boundary where we can actually be protected, where we can be safe. And to Mata's question, how do we actually inspire children to actually, be safe? Well, one thing is certainly like, association. Like if we can actually tell them the importance of the right association, then it is one way protecting them from all these. If you're in the right association, then even though the world will bring all the different difficult temptations, but if your association is good, somehow you'll be like, okay, I know I should not do this. But if your association is bad, impossible. Right? So first point, association. Second point is to define boundaries for them. Right? How in 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say? First thing what we should do, he talks of Kama Isha, Krodha Isha, Rajoguna, Samatva. What is the first solution to conquer lust? He says, regulate your senses. So you define your boundaries that, okay, beyond this, I cannot go. And even personally in our spiritual life, we have, like, when I keep thinking, okay, this is my boundary. Beyond this, I'm not going to go. So we create the boundaries not only for ourselves, but with our children also. We can say, this is our boundary. A boundary wall is made out of 4 regulative principles. Whatever happens, we are not going to step outside this boundary. Otherwise, it'll create havoc. Right? So first point, association. Second point is regulation. Third point is we ourselves setting the example of right sadhana, right character. And when children see that, they will actually, certainly see, my parents are so, like so cultured. They are such nice devotees, and they have actually, have so much affection for me. I should not, break that relationship. So that way, like, you are setting the example that will be inspiring for the children to actually follow. So anyway, those 3 points, but you can add on more points also from Shastra. But those 3 actually: association, boundary, and setting the right example. So,
Prabhu, also it is important, I think, just want to add that in our devotee community also there should be clear distinction between the mixing, as we are already talking, how in spite of having the association, great parents, wonderful community, there are situations where, things can be gone astray, right?
that's true. Yeah, I mean, the Maya is so powerful, so tricky. Any moment, anything can happen. That's why, like, personally, to develop our connection with Guru and Krishna, that is finally the key. If we have that strong connection with Guru, we'll say, like, how can I do this? How can I put my Guru down? I always be conscious that, what will my Guru Maharaj, he has given me everything. He is basically giving me a solution to get out of this world of miseries. He's giving me the highest gift. How can I turn away from Guru? How can I do an action that will actually be displeasing to my Guru? So it's like personal connection. That's finally the whole key. And that's the point about the spiritual strength that Prabhupada talks about. Vidura, you're spiritually strong. Or I'm like, no problem. But, and later on in the purpose, Prabhupada also compares Haridas Thakur, right? How he was allured by Maya Devi herself, by the prostitute, and how he was fixed on his vows. No, chant Hare Krishna, 172 rounds every day. I have to do my round. So you can wait. After I'm done, then I will do. Right? So that point is also very nice, that when we are afflicted by a strong desire, somehow we can even postpone it. Okay, first, let me finish this, then I'll come to you. And by that doing, we also trick the strong desire, because after some time, then the desire, it won't be so strong. At that moment, there's a very strong desire. But you say, okay, let me postpone it. Right? Haridas Thakur, that's what that trick we learned from him. He told her, let me finish my rounds. Then after I'm done, then I'll satisfy you. But Haridas Thakur never finishes rounds, right? So, when you postpone it, that also gives us a chance, because while we are doing something else, and when we are doing something else, that something else should not further agitate the desire, but something that distracts us from the desire. Say, okay, I'll come to it afterwards. Let me do this first. Right? Let me take care of this need, take care of this need. And then afterwards, maybe that desire is not so strong, right? Yeah.
Prabhu, on this, practically, I have heard one class in which Prabhu was telling that sometimes when you're chanting and your mind is going a little bit here and there, it is, best is to chant loudly, Hare Krishna, 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 like, So it's like, connection with Guru and Krishna, very strongly holding on. Please help me. Don't let Maya come. And so I was thinking that that's a practical way of handling this situation.
I mean, that's really taking shelter of Krishna. Krishna, please help me. I cannot overcome, right? And Mataji actually, Karuna Purna Shakti Mataji posted this conversation on the chat also. It's very nice. Prabhupada talks about like importance of these 4 regulative principles. Okay, so let's continue. So that was what Kashyap Muni should have done, but what did he do instead? He actually spoke pacifying words, which actually simply agitated, increased her lust. Right? So we'll see what words he actually spoke. So now he'll glorify his wife. Next 17.
Eshate ham vidhasyami priyam bhiru yadikshasi tasya kamam naka kuryat siddhistraivar kikiryataha. Prachana Mataji.
O afflicted one, I shall forthwith gratify whatever desire is dear to you. For who else but you is the source of the three perfections of liberation? Thank
you. Now, what is he doing? Kashamani, like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, he's speaking all these words to glorify his wife, but in the back of his mind, what he's thinking? Let me keep speaking so that the time passes, twilight goes and the time changes, and then I can fulfill that desire. And so that's also he's in his mind, he's using the trick of postponing the wrong time. Right? That's how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that he's trying to speak for so long that twilight would actually pass. So here he's glorifying his wife and saying like, your request is that I shall certainly execute. You are, he uses the word, O Bhiru, you are actually afflicted by this lust. Ichasi tasya kama. I will fulfill your desire. Right? And then he says, for who else but you? Right? So line 3 says, tasya kama no kaha kuryat. Who else but you is actually siddhis traivirgi ki yataha, is the source of the three perfections towards liberation. Right? So what is he saying? He's saying that actually it is because of you. You are the wife, right? It is because of you we can actually attain perfection in dharma, artha, kama. And because of that, we can progress towards liberation. Hence, you are so glorious. Why will I deny your request? I will do it. Right? So that's his mood. And Prabhupada talks about this, how dharma, artha, kama. A faithful wife, okay. I mean, if you go to a marriage ceremony and someone asks you to give a class, you can come to this section and speak about the glories of Grahasthashram. Don't speak from, teachings of Rishabdev or, one of those verses. Speak from this section. It's all about glories of a wife. Right? So Prabhupada here says, a faithful wife is supposed to cooperate with her husband in fulfilling all material desires so that he can then become comfortable and execute spiritual activities for the perfection of life. So what is the main point that Prabhupada is saying? That when the wife is actually fulfilling the needs of the husband, like, Prabhupada is making the point, in conditional life, everyone has desire for sense gratification. But when the wife is faithful, then she will give that, within the boundaries, she will fulfill those desires in such a way that the mind of the husband becomes peaceful. And because it is within the boundaries, then he is actually, by that little sense gratification within the boundary, he's not going to go to hell. He's still within the boundary, within the ashram, right? And by doing that, his mind will become peaceful. And when the mind is peaceful, then he can focus on spiritual activities, right? So that's why the wife is actually playing a crucial role in the husband's spiritual growth. And when the husband actually grows spiritually, then Prabhupada says the wife undoubtedly shares in his activities. If the husband grows spiritually, then even the wife gets the benefit, right? Thus, both wife and the husband profit in spiritual perfection. Okay, so that's so the three perfection: dharma, artha, kama, and wife is considered the source of liberation. She offers service to her husband for ultimate liberation. Okay, so next verse, text number 18. Now we'll talk of the glory of household life. First, we talked of glory of wife. Now we'll talk of glory of household life.
Sarvashraman upadaya svashramena kalatravan vyasanarnavam atyeti jarayanar yatarnavam. As one can cross over the ocean with sea-going vessels, one can cross the dangerous situation of the material ocean by living with a wife.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So here, what he is saying, that first line is what? Sarva ashrama upadaya. So what is the glory of Grahastha ashram? Actually, the Grahast ashram is supporting all the other ashramas. The Brahmachari, the Vanaprastha, the Sannyas. Actually, all these three ashrams, they don't actually, have a job, earn income. It is the Grahasthas who actually earn resources and they support the Brahmachari. Brahmacharis, they'll come, Bhiksham Dehi, and the Grahasthas will say, okay, let me get some milk, some grains, I'll give it to you. Right? So Vanaprastha, Sannyasis, the Grahasthas is actually supporting these ashramas. So he's saying Sarva ashrama, all the ashramas, Upadhyaya. One is actually supporting all the ashramas, Swa ashrame, by living in his own ashram, Kalatravan, with his wife. So in household life, you're living in your own ashram with your wife, but at the same time, you're supporting all the other ashramas. And by that, what will he do? Vyasanan Arnavam Atyeti. You can cross over the dangerous ocean of material existence. Yatha Jala Yanai Arnavam. Just like one can cross the ocean by a ship, similarly, you can cross the ocean of material existence just through your household life by staying with your wife. This is a perfect verse for Grahast ashram, right? If someone is getting married, tell them this. They'll be like, oh, perfect choice. I was thinking whether I should be Brahmachari or Grahastha, but this Bhagavatam verse is perfect. Just by in Grahast ashram, I will cross over material existence. So if you see, Bhagavatam is, we'll read other sections where the importance of Brahmachari life is done and how Grahast life is what? Under Kupam. Right? Deep dark. We'll read all those, points. So we have to see, what is our ashram and what are the instructions that will help us in our ashram to progress in our Krishna consciousness. And when we are sharing this message, we should see what is the other person, which ashram he is, and what kind of instructions will be best for him. Like if someone is entering Grahast ashram, you don't want to give a whole class on importance of brahmachari, right? Importance of renunciation, because Grahast ashram, that is some room, some leniency, right? So in that leniency, if you're keeping your vows, then okay, your mind will be like, okay, little bit here and there, little salt is there, okay, I'm satisfied with that, let me focus on my spiritual values. And Prabhupada talks about how there are 4 social orders, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas, and this cooperation between the 4 ashramas, right? So Prabhupada talks about importance, is essential for the proper functioning, right? And Prabhupada talks, a man who lives with a wife has a great responsibility in maintaining the other ashramas. The other people don't earn, but it's only the Grahasthas who actually earn. Hence, they should actually support the other ashramas. So one important aspect from this we learn practically for Grahasthas is important aspect of Grahastha is to give in charity. Because we are the only people who are earning, then we have to give in charity. We have to support the other ashramas. So if a sannyasi, we should give money to support a sannyasi's project. We should give money to support Krishna conscious projects. We are earning, but that earning should be given as a matter of charity. Otherwise, that same earning will be a cause of our bondage. Right? So give. And when we give, then Krishna is pleased, and then we'll be free from that entanglement of spending so much time earning. Okay, 19.
Yam ahur atmano yardham shreyas kamasya manini yasyam swadhuram adhasya pumam charati vijvaraha.
Hare Krishna. O respectful one, a wife is so helpful that she is called the better half of a man's body because of her sharing in all auspicious activities. A man can move without anxiety, entrusting all responsibilities to his wife.
Nice verse. It says a man can give up all his anxiety and say wife, you take responsibility. I can walk freely without any anxieties. So here, how is he addressing his wife? He says, Manini, oh respectful one. See, imagine Kashyap Muni's mind right now. Like if a wife approaches at the time of Yagya, he should just say come on, what is this? Not right time. But now he's glorifying his wife. Oh, wife, Manini, oh, respectful one. Yam, Ahu, Atmana Ardham. The wife is considered the better half of a man's body. Why? Shreya Kamasya. Because she shares in all the auspicious activities. Right? She helps in performing the auspicious activity, and she gets the benefit of the performance of auspicious activities. Hence, she's that. And yasyam puman adyasya. So swaduram, and then it says pumsam charati vijrava. A man can charati vijwaraha. Without anxiety, a man can actually move without anxiety by giving all the responsibilities upon his wife. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport talks about how Grahastha man, he's responsible to perform 5 kinds of sacrifice, pancha yagya, right, to get relief from unavoidable sinful reaction. And the wife is the one who actually helps the husband to perform these yagyas. And right. And Prabhupada says the aim of spiritual advancement, the husband and wife, the main thing is they should aim at spiritual advancement by mutual cooperation. See, again, it's like perfect verse for, people getting married. You can always turn to this. Here it says, Prabhupada is making the point that, but when husband and wife aim at spiritual advancement by mutual cooperation, then there is not so much consideration of personal beauty or disruption of so-called love, right? Like often they say, right? Love at first sight and divorce at first fight. And why is that? Because Prabhupada is saying, if your relationship is just based on sense gratification, then first fight, like, okay, she's not satisfying my senses. Okay, divorce. But here, when the aim is actually spiritual advancement by mutual cooperation, then one rises above just the relationship based on personal beauty, right? And Prabhupada says, in the material world, there is no question of love. Marriage is actually a duty performed in mutual cooperation as directed by the authoritative scriptures for spiritual advancement. Right? Okay, further text 20.
Yam ashrityendriyaratin durjayan itarashramai vayam jaye mahela bhir dasyun durga patir yatha.
Hare Krishna translation. As a fort commander very easily conquers invading plunderers by taking shelter of a wife who can conquer the senses which are unconquerable in the other social orders. Hare Krishna.
So again, further glorification of wife. He's calling his wife what? Previous verse he called Manini, respectful one. Here he's calling his wife what? Durga Patihi. You're like the fourth commander. Right? You're the commander of the fort. And why? Because here he's saying that Yam Ashrita, anyone who actually takes shelter of his wife, who actually acts like a Durgapati, fourth commander, can actually defeat the Aratin. Aratin means the enemies, right? He can actually defeat all the enemies which are actually Durjayan Itara Ashrame, which is actually difficult to conquer. So for other ashramas, when the senses, actually we are allured by our senses, it's very difficult for them to conquer. But for householders, when there's attack by the senses, then the wife comes and she acts as a fourth commander and says, stop, this is not right. Right? And that way, the wife is a fourth commander to protect her husband. Can we think of examples in a Shastra where the wife tried to correct the husband?
Ravan Mandodari.
Yeah, Mandodari, she actually won. She was a faithful, chaste wife. She actually won Ravana. That, this is why you kidnapped Sita. This is just going to lead to your whole destruction. But Ravana did not listen. Anyone else?
The Brahmana Patnis, when Lord was the offering should go to the.
You're talking of Yagya Patnis?
Yes, it's true.
Yagya Patnis. From 10th canto, Bhagavatam?
Yes, true.
Yeah, Yagya Patnis. They actually, when the husbands were just focused on the Yagya Patnis actually through their example showed that finally it has to come to love to Krishna and Balram. Right? Anyone else can think of? Mahabharat character?
Dhritarashtra.
Yes, actually, Gandhari is said to be like one of the chaste wives. She comes in the category. She, Draupadi, they're all considered to be chaste and faithful life. And Gandhari won Dhritarashtra again and again. But Dhritarashtra did not. So that way, the wife was a fortress. Even with what's Vali's name? Vali's wife's name? Tara. Tara, right? Even Tara actually tried to protect Bali and say, like, when Bali came back, she said, like, no, what you're doing is not right. Why are you, harassing your brother, right? But he did not listen. Right? So we see like so many examples where the wife is like the fourth commander and she's protecting the husband. But in these cases, we mentioned the husband did not listen to the wife. Right? And hence we see what happened. There was destruction in all these cases. So, Prabhupada in the purport, he actually says, like, how is this true? How is this true that the wife acts as the fourth commander? In other ashramas, let's say a brahmachari, if a brahmachari is not trained properly, when the senses, there's an allurement, then there is actually no one to actually kind of restrict him. And he could actually just, fall from the path. But in Grahast ashram, and that is a temptation, okay, within the boundaries of Grahast ashram, right? Within the boundaries of Grahast ashram, maybe there is some sense gratification, but that is protecting the husband from actually going outside and doing something illicit. And because it is within the ashram, he won't go to hell because it is within the ashram. So that way, like the wife, so Prabhupada says, the wife who protects the body from being smashed, and hence she is the commander of the fourth. Right? So the sex demand is inevitable for everyone, but one who has a fixed wife is saved from the onslaught of sense enemies. A man who possesses a good wife does not create disturbance in the society. Without a fixed wife, a man can become a debauchee of the first order. And Prabhupada gives the example of Vishwamitra, such a great yogi, and then he fell down. But in Grahast ashram, Prabhupada says, it's on the safe side. Because you're with your wife, okay, some sense catchment within the ashram, you're safe. But for a brahmachari to do that, fall down. Vanaprastha to do that, fall down. Sannyasi to do that, it's like they say drinking one's own vomit. Like it's horrible, right? Horrible. But grahastha, okay, some leniency. So it is safe, right? That's where the wife is actually protecting the husband. Okay, next verse.
Navayam pravavastam tvam anukartum griheshvari apyayushava kartsnyena yecha neguna grid navaha.
Krishna. O Queen of the home, we are not able to act like you, nor could we repay you for what you have done, even if we worked for our entire life or even after life. To repay you is not possible, even for those who are admirers of personal qualities. Hare Krishna.
Imagine like a husband is telling, like Kashyap Muni is telling Didi, I cannot repay you. Is like even, and what does he say? We are not able to repay you, Prabhava. And then he says, oh, Graha Ishwari, you're the queen of the home. And then I cannot repay you, Ayusha, for the entire duration of my life, Va, Karsneya, or in my next life. If this life and my next life, if I serve you, I cannot repay you. And then further he says, even for those who are guna, Gridanavaha, those who can appreciate your qualities, even if they try to work to repay you, they cannot repay you.
It sounds like he should be talking to his guru instead of his wife.
So, what is the main point here? Why is he talking such glorification? See, Prabhupada was the first sentence he said in the purport. So much glorification of woman by her husband indicates that he's henpecked or he's talking lightly in joke. So Prabhupada is making a point that, okay, there is some benefit of Grahast ashram, but so much that what is Kashyap Muni's idea? Yes, the wife is in distress. I just need to glorify her, pacify her, and then make sure the time is passing so that I can satisfy her at the right time, not in twilight. So for that, in joking way, he's actually saying all this just to satisfy his wife who is so agitated. Right? And yeah, and Prabhupada in the purport, he says, yeah, again, he's making the point that how householders, they are on the side of safety. Of all the ashramas, householder is a safe ashram, safe ashram. But then again, it comes with all the baggage of bondage and griha, kshetra, suta, apta, vritti, all those things actually come, right? But it's a safer one. Right. Right. Prabhupada last sentence is, such extraordinary praises by a husband for his wife are certainly in the mode of joking. So, yeah. So the main point here, Chakravarti Pad is also explaining that if one is with his wife and he enjoys in the household life, then he does not fall to hell. That enjoyment within Grihastha Ashram, he will not go to hell. And that way, the wife is actually helping the husband not go to hell, but yet at the same time satisfy his desire. Right? So how can one repay that person who's protecting one from going to hell? One can just be grateful, express gratitude to that person, but one can never repay, right? So, yeah. And then the main point, even Chakravarti Pad is saying that here, if you see a Sanskrit, it uses singular for woman and plural for men. That actually means that he is actually joking with her, or a henpecked husband. Okay. So up to this point, he's glorified her a lot, right? So now for the next few verses, he's actually going to point out why I'm going to satisfy you, but not right now, because now is not the right time, right? So one way you can see that when someone is so agitated, if you glorify that person, then that person actually thinks, oh, he understands me or she understands me. And then what you have to say, then they will listen, right? So he's using that tactics of saying that, oh, you are so glorious, you're this, and because of me, I can actually get Traivargya perfection, right? All those things. And then now, imagine she's lusty and she's like, okay, my husband loves me so much. Let's see what he has to say. And then now he'll actually talk about how we should not do it right now. Let's postpone it. Okay, so next few verses, he points about what is wrong in having union at this time of twilight. Okay, so let's do 22.
Athapi kamametam te prajatyai karan banyalam yatha mam nati rochanti muhurtam pratipalaya.
Hare Krishna. Even though it is not possible to repay you, I shall satisfy your sex desire immediately for the sake of begetting children. But you must wait for only few seconds so that others may not reproach me. Hare Krishna.
So she already made the point that by doing this, we'll become famous. But he's saying like, yeah, I cannot repay you. I will fulfill your desire. Prabhupada makes a point for a husband to actually Kashyap Muni to beget a child in her. Was it difficult? No. She's not asking for something which is very, very difficult. That union is, something very, very natural, very easy for him. So she's not asking something very difficult. But you made the point that we will become famous by having children. But we have to wait for a few seconds, right? Otherwise, people will actually criticize me that I actually united at the wrong time. And it's interesting that the word, if you see in Sanskrit, is muhuratam. What is muhurat? How much is one muhurat?
45 minutes.
45 minutes, actually, right? So he is actually, if you consider in the daytime also, from twilight to the next phase is actually change of muhurat, right? So hence he's saying we have to wait till the change of muhurat. But translation, what does Prabhupada say? Just like a few seconds, because she's so agitated that if you say, oh, you have to wait for one muhurat, then she will not chill. One muhurat, too long. Like the elephant is coming and taking the banana tree out. How can I wait for one muhurat? Okay, few seconds. Just wait for a few seconds. That way he's actually saying, okay, we'll do it. Just a few seconds. Okay. Next verse, 23.
Esha Goratama Vela Goranam Goradarshana Charanti Yasyam Bhutani Bhuteshanu Charaniha.
Ghora, Ghora, Ghora. 3 times the word Ghora is there in this verse. Right? What is it? Translation?
This particular time is most inauspicious because at this time the horrible looking ghosts and constant companions of the Lord of the Ghosts are visible.
So Ghora Tama Vela. Tama means the most horrible. What Vela is the period. It's actually the most horrible period right now. Why? Because Ghora Nam, among all the horrible things, the most horrible creatures, Ghora Darshana, they will give darshan now. It's not darshan of the Lord. Now is the darshan of the most horrible creatures. And who are they? Bhutani Bhuta Isha. The ghost and the Lord of the ghosts. Anucharanti. They are moving at twilight. Is the time when all these Bhuta and actually the followers of Lord Shiva, they actually move all around at this time. These Ghora personalities, they move. So one way, he's actually frightening his wife. Because another point that even previously it came, that when someone becomes fearful, okay, you have a strong desire, but as soon as the fear comes, then that can actually reduce the lust. And that is also a positive point that we can actually say that it is good to have healthy fear. Like if your temptation is there to do something wrong, and there's a fear, oh, if I do this, how will I show my face to other Vaishnavas? How will I face the consequences? What will happen? That kind of fear is good, right? That kind of fear is good, right? So here, he is actually one way creating that fear in her. There are all these Ghora, that's why he says Ghora 3 times. Horrible creatures, they are actually walking everywhere right now. They will get darshan, they'll give you darshan at this time. Hence, wait for a few seconds. Okay, next verse.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So they are all demoniac nature and they are worried about ghosts.
Who is demoniac nature?
Like these are all demons, right? The Kashyapa, they are all they are.
No, they are descendants. Kashyap and Diti, as even Divinity and Mataji was saying, right? They are actually the sons of Kashyap is the son of what do we read?
Marichi.
Marichi.
Yeah, and Marichi is the son of Brahmaji.
Brahmaji.
So he is like one way the grandson of Brahma. So they are not as such demons. It is because they are uniting, doing this activity at the wrong time, they will get birth to asuras. But as such, they are not asuras there. That's why like here we are talking about Vedic culture, that her approaching the husband and she was very talkative, but she should have been more subtle or, waited for the right time. So we are still talking of, personalities who are direct sons and grandsons of Brahmaji. So they're, so that's why he's creating that fear in Diti and saying like, Ghora, all these horrible personalities are going to be visible right now. So just wait for some time. Okay. 24.
Etasyam sadvi sandhyayam Bhagavan bhuta bhavanaha karito bhuta parshadbhir vrishenatati bhutarat.
Lord Shiva, the king of ghosts, sitting on the back of his bull carrier, travels at this time, accompanied by ghosts who follow him for their welfare.
So at this time, so actually evening time is when Lord Shiva, he actually, so here says Bhuta Rata. Like how we have the word Samrat. Samrat, everyone knows, right? Rata is the controller of all the people. That is. Now here it says Bhutarat. He is the king of all the Bhutas. And who is that? The Lord Shiva, right? Lord Shiva.
We also have Vishnu Ratha, right, Prabhu?
Yeah,
Parikshit Maharaj. Yeah, he's a Vishnu Ratha.
Yes, Vishnu Raj. That's it's one of the names because he's always looking for Vishnu. And that's why he's Vishnu Raj, right? Or devotee of Vishnu. So here it says Lord Shiva is the king of the ghosts. Right? Why Lord Shiva? Isn't Lord Shiva the topmost of all Vaishnavas? Vaishnava Yatha Shambhu. Why is he the king of the ghosts? Because Lord Shiva is so compassionate that he says, like, even all these horrible creatures, let them come, I will give them mercy, I will liberate them. And one way, actually, here the main point is why he's actually saying we shouldn't unite at this time is because Lord Shiva is so compassionate that anyone who's uniting in this evening time, saying this ghost, actually they don't have a body, right? And because they don't have body, they have desires, but they can't fulfill the desire. They're stuck up in that subtle body. So he said, anyone who's uniting at the evening time, he said, okay, they're uniting. Here goes, you go, enter the womb. And that's where you'll get the material body. So imagine like uniting at that time will give birth to ghostly personality, like person who have that qualities of a ghost, basically. And that's why he's saying, stop, not right now, right? So Prabhupada talks about this, how ghosts they are bereft of a physical body, right? Right. So material suicide causes loss of physical body. Spiritual suicide causes loss of individual identity. So Prabhupada is interestingly saying that how Mayavadis, they worship who? Lord Shiva. And how the ghosts, they worship who? Lord Shiva. So one is without material body. The other one wants what? He wants to commit spiritual suicide and give up his spiritual body. So both ways, Lord Shiva is actually merciful to all these, like whether there's an impersonalist or a ghostly person. But they are the ones who actually are traveling right now. And then here in the purport, Prabhupada says, he places them into the wombs of women who actually indulge in sexual intercourse, regardless of the time and circumstance. So Kashyap is telling, if we have union right now, a ghostly personality will enter into the womb, right? Hence, wait for some time. So that way he's creating that fear. Okay? 25.
Shmashana chakrani radhuli dhumra vikirna vidyota jata kalapaha bhasmavagunta malarukmadeho devastribhi pashyati devaraste.
So actually,
Lord
like,
Shiva,
sorry, I was just going to make the point that when he started speaking, there are actually 7 verses where he's actually glorifying Lord Shiva, right? How is associated? So this again directly on Lord Shiva. Okay. Please go ahead.
Lord Shiva's body is reddish and he is unstained, but he is covered with ashes. His hair is dusty from the whirlwind dust of the burning crematorium. He is the younger brother of your husband, and he sees with his 3 eyes.
So what is the point here? That he's describing Lord Shiva and he's saying that how smashana means the crematorium, right? When the wind blows from the crematorium and that ash actually blows, that actually covers the hair, the matted hair, and the body, the reddish body or the golden body of Lord Shiva. Right? His Deva is a demigod. And what? He has 3 eyes. So Prabhupada talks about this in the purport that he has 3 eyes, right? We know Lord Shiva has 3 eyes. So one is like the sun, one is like the moon, and the third eye is like fire. So why is he saying that Lord Shiva has 3 eyes? Because Diti may say, okay, I understand it's evening, all those horrible personalities are going around. Lord Shiva is traveling. But let's go to a private area. We can do it. We can have union there. But Kashyap Muni is saying, no, Lord Shiva has 3 eyes. You cannot escape his vision. Wherever you go, he will actually see you. You cannot escape. He has 3 eyes, right? And not only that, he is actually like my younger brother. Why younger brother of Kashyapa? Because Lord Shiva has married the younger sister of his wife. So one way it is like, like a person's like youngest sister's husband is like a brother. Like your youngest brother-in-law is like a brother. So he's saying that he's like my brother. He's like my brother. So how can you have union in front of, my brother? It's just not right. It's horrible, right? So basically that's the point. So Prabhupada in the purport also says that how Lord Shiva, he's not Jiva Tattva, he's not Vishnu Tattva. He has his own Shiva Tattva. He's so close to Supreme Personality of Godhead. And hence, he can know past, present, and future. So you cannot escape from him. You cannot say we'll hide somewhere and have union. You cannot escape. You cannot escape the consequences of having a union right now. Okay, next 26.
Na yasya loke swajana parova natyadrito nota kaschid vigaryaha vayam vrataryach charanapavidham asha smahejam bata bhukta bogham.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Shiva regards no one as his relative, yet there is no one who is not connected with him. He does not regard anyone as very favorable or abominable. We respectfully worship the remains of his footstaff and we vow to accept what is rejected by him. Hare Krishna.
So now Diti may actually say, oh, if Lord Shiva is your brother, then he will be merciful to us, right? Even if we make a mistake, he'll forgive. He's our relative, right? So, it's like close relation. You do something, and because of relation, he'll say, "Okay, close relative, it's okay, it's fine." But here he's saying, no. Lord Shiva, he na yasya loke swajanaha and paraha. He does not consider anyone in this world as his own relative, or further it says, actually no one is unconnected from him. Everyone is actually coming from Lord Shiva. So one way we are all coming from Lord Shiva, and yet he does not see that, okay, I am this person's relative. He is actually equal to everyone. And then further he says, Adita and Vigaryaha. He does not consider, oh, this person is favorable, this person is abominable. He sees everyone with an equal vision, and he actually gives mercy to everyone, and similarly, he will give punishment to everyone for their wrongdoing. So you cannot say that, oh, he's your brother, let's escape from him. No, he will give you punishment if we actually do the union at this time, right? And further, he's glorifying. Actually, Lord Shiva is so great. He says, asas mahe ajam. So we actually respectfully worship the prasad that's left over of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is Vaishnam Yatha Shambhu. So when you offer food to Krishna, it is what? Prasadam. When that food is offered to Lord Shiva, then it becomes Mahaprasad. We accept that Mahaprasad. How can we show disrespect to such an elevated personality? Like imagine an elevated personality is walking around. You won't do any act which is actually abominable, right? That is showing disrespect to their personality. Hence, he's glorifying Lord Shiva and saying, how can you show disrespect to such a great personality? Okay, 27. Let's just continue with English translation. We'll just complete this theme, 3 more verses, and then we'll stop. Okay, who's next? English?
Hare Krishna. Although no one in the material world is equal to or greater than Lord Shiva, and although his unimpeachable character is followed by great souls to dismantle the mass of nescience, he nevertheless remains as if a devil to give salvation to all devotees of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So here it says, his anavadya acharitam, his unimpeachable character is actually followed by great sages. Great sages follow this Lord Shiva, that his character is unimpeachable. So, and then further he says, he actually is dismantling the avidya of the mass, right? So it's all basic glorification of Lord Shiva, that he actually dismantles the nescience of the mass. How? Swayam Pishahacharya, by personally acting as a devil, and that way he gives salvation. So basically the point is what? The Lord Shiva, he dresses how? Matted hair, he puts ash, he has like a garland of skulls. He does all that. But by that, what does he do? He attracts the people in the mode of ignorance and gives mercy to them. Gives mercy to them. That is the glory of Lord Shiva. And he is actually merciful to the lowest of all people. And yet, at the same time, the great sages, they follow his unimpeachable character. That is the glory of Lord Shiva. So even though Lord Shiva may be dressing with, skull and ash, he is actually beyond all this. His character is unimpeachable. Okay, next one. 28.
Hare Krishna. Unfortunate foolish persons, not knowing that he is engaged in his own self, laugh at him. Such foolish persons engage in maintaining the body, which is eatable by dogs, with dresses, ornaments, garlands, and ointments.
Hmm. He's actually so glorious that his character is unimpeachable. But those who are unfortunate, those who are foolish, right? They do not know the glories that actually Lord Shiva is Swa Atman. He's actually always focused on Swa Atman. That means what? He's always focused on the soul of all souls. Who is that? Vishnu himself, Krishna himself. They do not know that even though Lord Shiva externally may look covered with ash and skulls, he is always focusing on meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They do not know. And also, Lord Shiva, he exhibits this mood of renunciation. He does not accept dresses, ornaments, garlands, and ointments. Why? Because he knows all this is meant for the pleasure of Vishnu. Right? But foolish people, they actually, not knowing that this body is meant for dogs, they actually just focus on dressing the body with ointments and dresses and ornaments. It is these kind of people, they may speak ill of Lord Shiva, but Lord Shiva is so glorious. Lord Shiva is so glorious. Okay, next verse, 29.
Demigods like Brahma also follow the religious rites observed by him. He is the controller of material energy, which causes the creation of the material world. He is great, and therefore his devilish characteristics are simply imitations.
And so basically he's saying like even Brahmaji follows the principles which are actually observed by him. What principle? Lord Shiva is showing the mood of detachment. And even Brahmaji is inspired by the detachment of Lord Shiva, right? And he's controller of Durga Devi, right? So he's controller of material energy. He is great, and therefore his devilish characters are simply imitations. So don't think, oh, deity, that, okay, he's dressed with all this ash and skull, and he's actually, like a kind of a negative character. No, no. Even though he's associated with all these ghoras, yet he is actually so great that even Brahmaji follows such a person. And by glorifying Lord Shiva, Kashyap Muni is telling Diti, like in front of such a glorious personality, you will have union. That's not possible. Like, you cannot do it. Let's just wait for some time. Okay, text 30. So this is a final, right? We'll stop at this verse.
Maitreya said Diti was thus informed by her husband, but she was pressed by Cupid for sexual satisfaction. She caught hold of the clothing of the great Brahmana sage, just like a shameless public prostitute.
So in spite of glorifying his wife and telling that now is the wrong time, all the horrible creatures are there, Lord Shiva, that glorious Lord Shiva is traveling right now. How can we do it? Let's just wait for a little time. Now, what was Diti's mood? She actually was just sitting there with so much sexual desire, and she was holding the cloth of Kashyap Muni, and like a shameless public prostitute, she was just saying, no, no, whatever you're saying, that's all fine, but let's do it right now. That was her urge. In the next verse, we see how he says, okay, since you cannot listen to me, we will have union. And the next verse, we read Maitreya Muni, Kashyap Muni, he agrees to have union with her. Okay. So then what happens? We'll read next time. Okay, everyone. So this is what Kashyap Muni has told Diti. He's praised his wife, in the hope that once I praise her, then she'll listen to me. But did she listen? She did not listen. And we see how lust is so powerful that one loses his sense of discrimination. And hence that spiritual strength that we talked about, our connection with Guru and Krishna, that is our only hope for protecting us from the powerful onslaughts of Maya. Maya is very powerful. Don't try to just like say, okay, I will fight Maya. No, we have no stand in front of Maya. But we have a stand by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. So the whole point is to develop that spiritual strength by connection more with Guru and Krishna. Okay. Okay, stop here. So thank you so much. Any final comments, questions, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, one question. Like when Lord Shiva was born, he was given a place to live, and there is a description of what his places were. But here, crematorium was not one of the places where he was allotted, right? But why is he living in
Yes, so
crematorium?
what we read before was a Rudra, right?
Ah,
Rudra and Rudrani, which is actually one way like an expansion of Lord Shiva, right?
okay.
Right? So we have different, like how Vishnu, you have different expansion. So even Lord Shiva has a difference. So Rudra is the aspect which is in charge of the destruction, Rudra and Rudrani. Right? But beyond all this function of Lord Shiva in that aspect of destruction, who is he beyond that? He's a Vaishnava. And as a Vaishnava, he is actually giving mercy to all these fallen creatures. And he says at the evening time, these creatures get active. So Lord Shiva goes around and he says, okay, you're so fallen, come, I will help you. I will help you. I'll give you my mercy. Help you. So here we are seeing Lord Shiva as a Vaishnava and his role as a Vaishnava. And hence all the glories, what we are seeing, we're not talking about Lord Shiva as a person in charge of the annihilation. We are talking of Lord Shiva as Vaishnava Yathashambhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah, I have question actually. Very beginning in the text 2, second sloka. Yeah, you discuss. I mean, I heard that Swayambhu and Chakshusha Manvantara, the
Yes.
two different Swaraha were there. So here it says, in the Swayambhu millennium, he lifted the earth from within the water of the universe. And in Chakshus millennium, he killed the demon, Hiranyaksha. So question is, so how between that millennium, I thought it's when he lifted at that time he killed, or it says here different. So
Yeah.
how?
So see, when he appeared as starting of day of Brahma in
Yes.
Swayambhuva Manvantara, at that time he appeared as Varaha from the nostril of Brahmaji. When
Yes.
picked up the earth, kept it back on axis. That's it.
Oh,
Over.
okay.
But in Chakshusha, the earth again went down. He appeared as Varaha, picked up the earth. But at that time, Hiranyaksha was there to stop him, and then he fought. So the second Varaha actually had the fight with Hiranyaksha. The second Varaha, with picking up the earth, he fought with Hiranyaksha, and that is what Vidura is asking. He is, why? Why did they fight? I want to know about it.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Vijay Radhika Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I like this point where we need to strengthen the virtual connection with Guru and Krishna
Vertical.
vertical connection with Guru and Krishna by strengthening during our sadhana, and that is how we become spiritually strong.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. That's a good point. Okay.
So I was wondering, there are 2 points that came to my mind. First is the time when it is sun setting, it is called Godhuli, right? And we know how in Vrindavan, that is a very, very special time. Krishna come back to Nandagaon, all the dust is in the sky and the sun is setting. There's this orange hue that is so auspicious. But here we see, this is material world,
So it depends, like if you're in Mahamaya, it is inauspicious. In Yoga Maya, best time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then, how Lord Shiva's example is like he's always, at the places where nobody would go in general.
Yes.
That is like Gopisha Das Babaji Maharaj's life. He used to chant at the bathroom. People go out. I mean,
Gaurkishan, his mood was basically like, don't disturb me.
Disturb me.
And Lord Shiva's mood is like, okay, you are so fallen, no one will protect you. I will give you mercy.
Let me go there. Let me go there to get you. I mean, amazing Vaishnavas.
Vaishnava's mercy of Lord Shiva is just like unimaginable. He's going and picking up those ghostly personalities to liberate them. So here we see the glory of Lord Shiva as a Vaishnava. Okay. Anything else? Yeah.
Prabhuji, I was thinking about, we think when we do wrong things, nobody is watching us. But we also read that for each of our senses, there's Adidevatas, and they are watching us. And then Lord Shiva is also watching. So it's just, there's no escape if you're doing the wrong thing.
The sun, the moon, the fire, Lord Shiva, demigods, and
Varun
finally,
Dev, yeah.
Paramatma in our heart.
But yeah.
How can you escape that? Right? So there is no like we can escape something. Anything we do, consequences are going to be there.
Hari Sarvatra Sarvada.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay, one last point, Ratna.
Yeah, I was just thinking more about the temptations and how they come so strongly and the different tactics that, like he was trying to postpone it, it didn't work. And then he was trying to give fear, it didn't work, because ultimately the highest level is when we have that inner, has to come from us internally strong. And I was also thinking about Haridas Thakur, he was postponing it, but internally he was so strong. Like it wasn't just postponing it. You can see the difference between Kashyapa and Haridas Thakur. Kashyapa was postponing, but in his heart he wanted to do it anyway. But Haridas Thakur was, because he had such taste in the holy name and he had that internal strength, he was able to, he was really able to be strong. So I was thinking how, when we talk about boundaries and all these things, like this techniques, like ultimately the main thing is like developing that internal strength. It can't be anything external, really. That even good advice, like he's trying to give her good instruction, he's trying to give her like fear and telling her this, but nothing is working, because when the pushing is so strong, nothing really helps, except if you internally have for yourself, the boundary. So it has to really come from the person themselves, right? Than external.
Very nice.
And we read that can come if we become a devotee of the Lord, like Vidurji.
Very nice point. Very nicely explained. And, yes, again, we may go back to the point that yes, all those external, the boundaries, yes, we talked about those points, but finally it is a connection. But what if I say like, I'm working on my connection, but my connection is still not strong? Then we have to focus on these externals until that connection becomes strong. The boundary, you have to focus, okay, this is my boundary, I cannot go beyond it. Right? Association, I have to be very careful. Who am I connecting with? Otherwise, there's no chance. So all the other points are actually crucial. And even after the relationship is established, still we cannot take Maya lightly. Maya is so strong. We still have to focus even on the other points of association, boundary, and third one I talked about was example. But yeah, nice point. Okay. Okay.
Wonderful tips, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say like the example of Arjuna, when Urvashi approached him, he was like the firmly he could reject that thing. And the second thing, like about the Guru, how he saved. So in the further chapters, further cantos, it will come out the Jaimini Rishi, how Vyasadeva came and helped him to come out of this situation.
Nice points. Thank you.
And in here, Vivekanandaji also happened in America, right? I heard that.
What?
Same thing. I mean, Vivekanandaji, when he came here, so at that time also one American lady asked him, and he said, no, in very, very nicely way,